Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I'm not gonna say his name. Jack Lake Cruisers.
Tell the truth.
If you want truth,
Tell the truth.
the Information Show is the place for you. Truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make
We're
sure
trying to examine, open up one's mind, and understand the shit that's happening in American society and around the world. Information Man Show.
Information is power.
We gotta
Tell
ring the bell
the truth.
to wake the world up.
Information is
Tell the truth.
power.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
In the White House. I'm not gonna say his name.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
We will make America great again.
You need truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
All right, everybody, welcome to the program. I'm glad that I was able to start this on time. That was always my concern because I know that people wait and they wait for me to come on, and there's times when I have some technical problems, but I'm glad that you all are here. I have a very special guest that is going to be on, that's coming on with me now. You see him to the lower side, but I'm going to enlarge the screen. Let me say peace to everybody that's coming to the chat room. We got Tisha. Oh, Sister B, she just super chatted me, so let me give her some love on that super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate the super chat, sister. We got Sincere A. Lucy. Oh, my man. All right, we got my man. Giddy is in the house, brother. Giddy, brother, let me say peace to you for coming into the house. This should be a great interview. Peace, brother. I'm so glad to see you here. And we got George Frazier in the house. Queen, I Know I Am. Peggy Roster's in the house. Dean Madigan is in the house. Let me see who's in the house. Inspired One is in the house. And let me see who else. Mr. Male Advice is in the house. And Sister B gave me the $4 super chat. I appreciate that. We got the new Black Media in the house. Back to the Basics is in the house as well. Young Peasy. And I'm sure people will come into the chat room step at a time. Brother Keedy is in the chat room there. Everybody in that chat room, do me the greatest of the greatest that you can ever do, and definitely subscribe to this brother's program. That's the brother. Oh, we got Book of Alpha. Woo, Romney, the doctor of BOA. For you brothers out there who want to get up on game, get your manhood game together, the dating, the relationships, get all the incredible advice that is possible, you got to check out Book of Alpha Romney. Thank you, brother, for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you. Make sure y'all check his channel out as well. But let me just say this. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. That's definitely for you brothers out there. And Brother Keedy, who I just I'm gonna put his name in there again. You'll see it highlighted. Subscribe to his channel. This brother is brilliant. He writes books. He's got scientific mind. He deals in logic on his show. He goes live almost every other day. And the brother is fantastic, sensational. He has traveled the world, particularly Africa. The brother is making those connections. He's very intelligent. I love his show. He is about solutions. So check out Brother Keedy in the chat room. Copy his name and then go over to and save it and then check out his channel. Now, I got some brothers who just came into the channel right now. I interviewed them about a week or two ago, and I'm putting the thumbnail on the screen for them. And that's right. That's Off the Record Podcast is in the house. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Off the Record Podcast is in the house. I interviewed those guys last week. Those brothers are straight out of Baltimore, Maryland. Straight out of Baltimore, Maryland, where I was born. So I appreciate them coming into the house and joining us, blessing us today. This is going to be a show that I need everybody to do this. This is very important. I need you to get your popcorn. I need you to get your favorite drink, your favorite beverage, whatever it is that you drink, because I'm bringing the man from Sox and Sandals podcast. This is the brother who, as you all know, had the interview with Jane Elliott. Okay. It was fire all over Twitter, all over social media. It was fire about the brother interview, because in the interview, Jane Elliott was very candid, she spoke her mind as it related to reparations for black people by mainly speaking upon that it has to go to the Native American people first. And you all know that I did a video follow-up to this brother's interview on my own channel analyzing Jane Elliott, and that video went pretty damn viral for me. And I broke down some numbers as to what Native American people get and don't get in our society. And I'm telling you right now, they get a hell of a lot of money. They got a lot of set-asides for them because they have treaties. They have treaties, and they're still benefiting from those treaties today. Doesn't mean that there's not people in the Native American culture that are not suffering. Not saying that. But however, I hate to break other news to you, and through doing research, the five tribes, Native American tribes, being the Cherokee Indians tribe, native tribe, they were involved in our slave trade as well. They were involved in hunting after us and enslaving us as well when black people would escape from plantations. There is data, there is information out there. So this is something to think about for food for thought. So I am going to get into all these different questions and thoughts with the brother. I'm going to have him introduce himself to everybody. I appreciate everybody for being here. So hang on to your seats. Let's get it going. Let me bring the brother on right now. Okay, brother, let's unmute you. Okay, brother, let everybody first of all, I want to thank you for agreeing to come on with me, being open to it. You could have easily blown me off or something like that. You know, I'm not as big time as you, but I appreciate you being open to be willing to talk to me about a variety of issues today. So, you know, I'm bad with names, brother. Let's, if you feel comfortable, let's let everybody know. Oh, your name, Emmanuel Williams, he's on. Introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah, Info Man, peace to you, bro. I appreciate you for reaching out and having me on. But once again, my name is Emmanuel Williams. I'm the creator and curator of the Sox and Sandals podcast, where society, culture, history, and religion collide, and we unapologetically discuss our worldview. So it's all about unapologetic expression, inspiring, empowering, and enlightening black people. So that's what I do. Right.
About truth.
Tell the truth.
That's right. So let's get into this right now, brother. Once again, man, I feel great to have you here because everybody was looking forward to it last week, but I had to tell everybody, now we're going to do it on Sunday. You know, Saturday doesn't work out for the brother or me, but let's get into it right here.
I was out of town, man. I couldn't make it happen, man.
Nah, but this was a better week. You know, some things are meant for when they're meant, you know, whatever the stars, the alignment of the universe has for us.
Right.
But let me ask you the most important question, first of all, before we open up to other issues. Why podcasting, brother? What led you? And we know everybody's got a podcast in their mama nowadays, but what led you down that road?
Well, I've been doing this for a little over 3 years. And so I started really dreaming and planning doing a podcast back in 2016. So at that point, you know, I had been working in corporate America for quite some time. I was in sales. insurance sales, and I did very well for myself, but I was not happy,
Right.
I thought that once I made a certain amount of money, I was going to be happy, but I realized I wasn't happy because I was a slave to that job. I was a slave to that profession, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. And so I just started reading books again. And then my commute was crazy long. So I'm reading books, I'm getting this new knowledge, and I have all these ideas in my head that I want to discuss and I want to share. And my commute to work was super long. So I just started listening to podcasts, and I realized that I loved driving to work and having to be on the road for 2 hours because I love listening to podcasts, and I always wanted to be in radio. But when I looked into radio, I realized like starting out, like they wasn't making no money. So I'm like, nah, I can't do that. But I just listen to podcasts all the time. I listen to First Take a lot. I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, and listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, he really got me inspired, man. And he laid it out like anything that you want to do, you have to go for it. You have to have patience. You got to know that whatever you do, it's not going to pop off right away. But if you love it and if you dedicate yourself to it, it's going to turn out the way that you think it's supposed to be, and probably even better. And so I really wanted to express myself. And I just wanted to get out of that corporate rat race. And I just wanted to talk about other things other than just business and money. And so I started talking about just religion. I was heavily religious at that time. So I started talking about religion, and I started talking about, things that was going on in the Black community. And I was just trying to figure out why we were having so many problems and so many issues with race. And I really wanted to understand what racism was and how and why does it affect people that way? Why does it affect Christians that way? So I'm just like infinitely curious, and I wanted to have these deep, constructive conversations, because I was already having them offline. I was like, I might as well start a podcast, because if I'm, going and talking to people for 3 or 4 hours in a coffee shop and my wife is getting mad at me, I might as well just do this in a more structured fashion and just kind of build a business from it.
Right. Now, let me say something. While you said that, brother, I noticed in the background, you've got some beautiful pictures of a display there of your family, your children. Yeah. And this is why I put up in the corner, Black Fathers Matter. So once again, everybody, here we got another Black man who's about his business and he's about his family. See? So this whole myth that Black men don't marry and don't take care of their family responsibility, it's a complete bullshit. We have a lot of brothers out here that are doing the damn thing, taking care of their families, dedicated, but we don't get the credit. Brothers don't get the credit for what they do. So I had to highlight that, because I see you have your pictures back there, and I'm saying, okay, this brother's a family man. That's what it's about. Okay, family is the basics of everything, brother, everything. So with that said, in your podcast, I noticed you specifically focus on what are the things. Let me say it in your own words. What is the keys to your podcast? I know faith is one of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, society, culture, history, and religion. So it's pretty broad, but like trying to bring all those things together in one conversation. A lot of times, because of the PC culture, especially that we had like before Trump was in office, everybody was super politically correct. And so when it came to society and culture, like people would ignore history because it's hurtful, it's painful to deal with. And people wouldn't talk about religion because, people get a little too emotionally worked up and emotionally hijacked when they get in those type of conversations. But I wanted to create a platform where people can freely express themselves, because your religion and your spiritual system is like the most important thing to you, typically, if we be honest. But the way that society has socialized us, we can't talk about those things and we feel scared to talk about them even when we go away from work. And corporate America has a lot to do with why we don't say what we want to say. So I just wanted to create that platform so that regular everyday people can talk about this in a safe space, and there's no judgment. Like, I don't got all the answers, you don't got all the answers, but let's have this conversation and then let the people decide what truth they want to roll with.
Right. Let me say peace to Gregory X. He gave me a $2 super chat. Let me say peace to you, brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate you giving me the super chat. We got some more people coming in. We got Sister BT. BT is a good friend of mine off of Twitter. She's a big, very much involved in the ADOS movement. I appreciate her being here. And I thank you all. Definitely hit the likes, everybody. Share this out in your social media. is much appreciated. Then we got QT1. Sister, I haven't seen you in a minute, but I'm glad to see you over here. She says, tell the truth. Peace. That's right. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Okay, so we got let's see. We got Wave Gang Radio that's just coming to the house. I appreciate you coming in. Appreciate it. Definitely. So let's go further into this. Let's unpack this. You had an interview with Jane Elliott just what was it, 2 weeks ago from now, or was it a week ago from now?
Yeah, I think I dropped about 2 Saturdays ago. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to play a small clip of that interview to put some perspective on where the conversation is going to go right now. Okay. So everybody, here we go.
I think if we're going to live in that business, then that's what we need to do.
Can everybody hear? Let me know. Put a 1 in the chat room if you can hear.
The reason we have made progress on the face of the earth is because of the brilliance of a whole lot of people of color.
Right.
Jane, don't you think that what's going on and what has been going on is not necessarily ignorance because nobody told me any better? Because you just explained, and also I've seen in the exercises that you do, people just flat out deny their position, or that they've been, or that someone else's discrimination is worse than theirs. But doesn't this all come down to survival? You know, doesn't this really come down to the fear of genetic annihilation? If I allow myself, if I allow everyone that is melanated an equal playing field, a level playing field, then I won't be able to compete with them. I won't be able to stay in control and stay in my privileged, nice position, because no group wants to give up their privilege. And so isn't this about, you know what, if I keep them here, then I can survive, because I know that my numbers are down all over the globe. I know that we're not procreating and reproducing. I know that the sperm count is low in males of European descent all over the globe, and it's been decreasing. Just like Brexit, I know if I continue to let immigrants come in, then melanated people are going to outnumber non-melanated people. They outproduce us. So isn't this more or less about genetic annihilation? Not just because I'm.
Wait a minute. Do you even think that the average person walking down the street even knows genetic annihilation?
No, it's subconscious. It's subconscious.
Wait a minute.
Okay, let me stop that part of it. I'm going to go piece by piece and get your thoughts. Let me go back over to, there we go, Brother Williams right now. Unmute him. Okay, so that part right there, I had a problem with, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm gonna put a picture of a woman. I know it's crazy, brother. I'm gonna put a picture of a woman that you're very familiar with, and this is why. What she did to me in that statement is she undervalued, underestimated, and marginalized what you were trying to say, because we still, when you go back to Darwinism, when you look at psychology, I work in psychology, people do things, as you said, self-consciously, consciously, where it's about survival of the fittest. American society is built off of survival of the fittest. You get yours, I get mine. I'm gonna get mine. I ain't gonna worry about yours. And you made an excellent statement. The Native Americans did get benefits. Let me read you something. Did you know that our first black president, who we thought was the first black president, Obama, he gave 17 Native American tribes $492 million. And then on top of that, the Treasury Department under Mitch, he gave them $4.8 billion for 60 of the total $8 billion installed set-asides will begin hitting tribes' banks accounts. That's this year. The money will be distributed based on population size, with the largest tribes receiving a big share of money. They even have a package for tribes, Native American tribes that have been hit hard with COVID-19. Yet they said black people were the ones getting hit hard. There's been no package for us, but there's already a package for Native Americans. On top of that, Native Americans are getting $20 billion a year that's being distributed to their different tribes around the country. Okay, so And in the federal, now check this out. Tribes have been lobbying Congress to help address shortfalls in a already underfunded healthcare system and to ensure that the federal government fulfills its obligations to them under treaties. See, they have treaties. You know this, brother, and other acts, while the $10 billion for tribes is a $2.2 trillion package is less than the request that the tribes had asked for, but they got $10 billion. That's just for their health care alone. Plus they're getting money in the billions, if I'm not mistaken here, towards treatment as it relates to COVID-19. They're getting $20 billion a year just overall to their different tribes. Okay, check this out. More than $1 billion will go to Indian Health Services, a federal agency that provides primary medical, care for more than 2 million Native American tribes. About half of that amount will go to tribes and tribal organizations that have contracts with the federal government. And as soon as black people say, wait a minute, what about our reparations, which is the debt that you owe us? They tell us, you need to be quiet, Negroes. You need to go away. You need to go somewhere and sit down because you ain't getting nothing for the work that your ancestors put out. They laugh at us, Brother Emmanuel. They laugh at us. Okay. What are your thoughts?
Man, so the main thing that came to my mind when she said that was especially the genetic annihilation part.
Yes.
I'm well aware of the power that is in the words of Frances Cress Welsing from the ISIS papers. Just anything that comes out of her mouth, powerful, right? And also Neely Fuller Jr. You know, I've read his book heavily, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, man. So I read that first, and then I read the ISIS papers, and it just changed my life. So I understand the power of that. And I understand that when I introduce those concepts to white people, well, for one, I stopped introducing it to white people, period, for the most part. And, but with her, I was like, all right, she's a truth-telling person. And so her natural reaction is going to be the truth. I don't know what it's going to be. Honestly, I had hopes that it was going to be different, but no matter what, I had to surrender the outcome and realize, yo, if I introduce this, which I plan to do, like something's going to happen. And so the response that I got, I was blown away, bro. Like I was really blown away that it would take her to that place and she would have a visceral reaction like right away. But I understand the power of Frances Cress Welsing and her words. And so if I introduce that in the conversation, you know, it's going to be fireworks. So I didn't take it like personally, or I didn't take it like it was something like that was that bad. I was just glad to get the truth. And the truth came out. And I had a feeling I was going to do that because I studied her interviews going back to the 90s all the way up till now. And Jane has a very strict, rigid formula that she sticks to. And when you guys listen to that whole episode, you'll notice I'll ask her a question and she won't answer it directly.
Yes.
Right. She'll start telling the story. And I was fully prepared. I know all the stories that she was going to tell. And so it was a slow walk up to that point. I had to draw it out of her. Right. So like she didn't respond to that until like 42, 45 minutes into it. So I had to walk her down that path.
Yes, sir.
Being honest with me. And then once I hit her with that, it was just like, man, the floodgates came out and her truth just flowed, bro.
Well, this is the thing. You know, we know her history. You know, Jane Elliott came to prominence when the day after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. She took her class. We know she took a class of white children, and she did a brown-eye, blue-eye test in which she made the kids that had blue eyes feel more superior and more dominant over the kids who had brown eyes. Then she switched the roles around, and the goal was to teach them how it feels, how someone who's being discriminated would feel when it comes to if you got blue eyes, you're better. You get to sit up front. You get the attention of the teacher. So that was sort of what she did. And I understand when she did that test that the community was very shook by that. They didn't appreciate that. They weren't very happy about that. And I know that I've noticed she's going around, around the country. She spoke out. She's been outspoken about these issues. And, what I've learned, brother, is that some people can sound good until you really hit them with the answer. And what I notice about people like Jane Elliott is that even when they can talk a good game about race and racism, white supremacy, what it is and how it works, and all the areas in that of how it operates, as Neely Fuller Jr. would talk about, the operations of it. When you hit her with the very simple question, which is, do you believe that black people deserve reparations? That's a very simple question, not difficult at all. And what I find people like Jane Elliott, that when you hit them with that question, that's when all of their rhetoric starts to go up in the air, because they show you really who they are.
But hold on, Info Man. Hold on one second, bro. The beautiful thing about this whole conversation, and it was lost on a lot of people.
Okay.
I didn't ask her that question. I drew it out of her. If you go back and listen to it, I never asked her the question. I just kept asking her, like Neely Fuller said, because I'm not like a lot of people wanted me to hold her feet to the fire and go in. I don't hold conversations to argue with people. I did that in the beginning. 3 years ago, you're going to hear me arguing a lot. I learned over time, and after I read Neely Fuller's book, don't argue. I ask questions. And when you're asking questions, especially when you're talking about the race problem to a non-black person, you speak about justice. I talked about justice and reconcile, like true reconciliation, compensatory reconciliation. I talked about that throughout the whole conversation. That was the theme of my questions. And I asked her about justice and what we were going to do to repair what was done for the past 500 years of stealing, killing, and destroying, exploiting, exterminating, subjugating people. What are we going to do? Yeah, you can say we're all one human race and we're all, 30th to 50th cousins, and let's reach across the aisle and say, hey, cousin, let's just move on and treat people better. I was like, yeah, we can treat people better, but how are we going to repair what was done? So I asked her that so many times that she brought up reparations. She said, well, I wish we could, solve this economically and pay, former slaves or whatever. But if we're going to start paying people, we have to pay the neighbor. So she brought that up. She, you see what I'm saying? Like she put her own foot in her own mouth, bro.
So you were able to draw it out of her.
Yes.
Just on the fact that you asked, and you're right. Neely Fuller Jr. always says that you can learn everything you want about people by just asking questions. Questions will lead to the answers, and people will tell on themselves usually.
Especially if you ask questions about justice.
Right, justice. Let me do this. We got brother Tone Malone is in the house. Thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you coming in. And then brother Gregory has blessed me with another super chat. He says Jane Elliott has made a handsome living off of the suffering of the black community. Essentially, she is proving poverty pimping. Now, that's what brother Gregory X has put in the chat room. That's how he sees it. Thank you for the super chat, though, brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
I really appreciate that. Now, brother Williams, do you mind, because I still have the rest of the interview you did with her. Now, I don't have the whole interview. I just got the segment leading up to what you just talked about right now. I paused it. I would like to play it some more, because there's something that she said under her breath. I don't know if you caught that during the interview or not.
I listened to your show. I didn't catch that. She
brother, I don't know how old you are, but I've been I'm about 50 years old. I've been checking out Jane Elliott for quite some time and her body language. And when you said something to her about when we went into the reparations conversation with her, she said under her breath, bullshit. I could hear it clear as day. And I understand she's got a little bit of feistiness to her. And there's the old saying, you are who you are when. She comes from a different generation. And if I'm not mistaken, she may or may not be what I would say a feminist. So she's got a little bit of that oomph in her, where she's willing to say a few things and speak her mind. Because when you said what you said to her, my audience and everybody that has checked the video out that have left me messages, they noticed the body language and they noticed how triggered she got by just that. When you said you didn't ask her, she kind of led down that road. But let me play this let's get to the audio. It speaks for itself.
We can talk about subconscious bias and conscious bias until hell freezes over, but that won't solve the problem. And we can use words of 4 and 5 and 6 syllables, and that solves the problem. You're going to have to talk in the language that the average human being in the United States understands. And here it is. You either change your behaviors today or you're going to suffer greatly tomorrow. Now, if you want your children to survive in the future, you better change your ideas about miscegenation, because
Let me stop that right there and ask you this question. This is very important, brother. Now, let me ask you this question. Now, Jane Elliott, as she's trying to mean well, she says people don't think about things on a psychology level like that. To a certain degree, that is true. People are very simple-minded in the way they look at things. But this is where I have to ask your question because I disagree with her. How long have black people been here, and how long have we been trying to appeal to the quote-unquote dominant society or white society? How long have we been preaching? We've had preachers, we've had reverends like Dr. Martin Luther King, who they killed, okay? How many times have we had people who tried to do it peacefully, who did it in a militant way, try to get across that, hey, you guys got to wake up? How many times, brother?
I can't count. I'm only 35 years. I don't even know where to start counting, to be honest. It's just it's obviously too prevalent, man. You look at every era, look at the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and 90s up until now. Black Lives Matter movement, for whatever that's worth. You know, it's a lot of people saying the same things, asking for the same thing, just a different mouthpiece, a different angle, but the theme is the same. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing, too, I have to say. I kind of felt that she kind of she made everything kind of she tried to make it simple. Well, if we just make people stop what they're doing by saying what you're doing is bad, just like a child, you pop the child on the hand and say, hey, don't touch that hot stove, right? That's going to burn you. She tried to make it simple. It's just we need to educate. I get it. Education is important. You do need to educate people so that they can know history and not repeat that history. But I think we've had all kind of black people take it from all different directions, as I said before, to try to convey this message that Jane is talking about. But I think the reason why her methodology does not work in real life and has not worked, because you said yourself on your podcast that there have been plenty of spokespeople talk about these things, and yet nothing has changed. Now, can you elaborate on that from the point of view of your podcast when you were talking about that?
Was that I think that was the one before Jane Elliott.
Yeah. I think you had a guest on the show. And you were saying that there's been a lot of people who have spoke out against racism. Yeah. And how it's wrong. And you made a very powerful point. I wrote this down. You said, how much of the racism, let me see. Oh, I know it. I know it by heart now. You were saying that if you're arguing about how wrong racism is to people who are also racist themselves, or people that are the Ku Klux Klan themselves. Let's say, for example, you said this, the government. If you're thinking that the government is going to fix our problems, how can you, I'm not quoting you verbatim, I'm just saying, how do you expect things to be fixed by the very government that is the Ku Klux Klan themselves? So you're making an argument to the Ku Klux Klan about the Ku Klux Klan, for example, and you think that you're going to get a change, and you don't get a change.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what is going on right now. And a part of it is people don't want to concede the fact that some of their favorite and most trusted people that they look up to, whether it's in entertainment or in politics, are terrorists. You see what I'm saying? And right. Not terrorists from a like physically violent, blowing up your neighborhood Tulsa terrorists, but they're terrorists economically. They're terrorists when it comes to information. Like, they're not giving out the right information. And so they're bombarding you with bad information. They're terrorists when it comes to the food system. You know what I mean? They're giving you food that is going to kill you. You know, they're terrorists when they make laws. They target us. They literally make laws to target black people only. You know, we already know what the 13th Amendment is for us. It's not for white people. It's for black people. You understand what I'm saying? They have things like eminent domain where they can come and take your land and take your housing because they want to do what's called urban renewal. That's terrorism, man. That's pure terrorism. So like, if you want to go to the terrorists and negotiate with them, that's on you. But you don't want to acknowledge that these people are vile individuals and that they hate you subconsciously and they fear you subconsciously. Yes. And everything that they do is set up to bring you down. So you're gonna continue to talk to them and appeal to them. That's a waste of time. That's it's a total waste of time. So that's what Neely Fuller says. Y'all, most people don't understand what racism is and how it works, and so they're continually confused because they're going to the same people, asking answers and getting the same result.
Right. Let's play a soundbite from Neely Fuller around that issue that you just said. Here he goes.
You do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works. Everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse.
So that's Neely Fuller saying that himself in his own words. Now, let me, if you don't mind, play some more of what she was saying, because I really want to get to the part that I want to emphasize that I thought really caught my attention here. So let's play this, folks. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let me say peace to BT's in the house. Sincerely, A. Lucy. Beverly's in the house. Queen I Know I Am is in the house. Brother Tone Malone is in the house. Back to the basics. Let me see who else is in here. Oh, we got Keep ADOS Great is in the house. Thank you for being here. Brittany Dunn has come in. QT1. And I'm just glad to see folks that are coming in. And we got my man Art New Style TV. Sorry I missed you there, brother, who's come in. And let me see BT and let me see who else has come in. We got the news. The Black News Network is in the house. Black News Media is in the house. And we got Finley Rivers. Keno is in the house. What's up, Finley? Good to see you over here. Peace to you. He's come in. And we got Graphic is in the house. And Tisha is in the house as well. And Tiffany Jackson has come in. I appreciate you being here, sister. So let me go ahead and play some more of what she said so that I can get your thoughts. We're breaking this down little by little, everybody. And here we go.
As the hole in the ozone layer gets larger and larger, more and more sunlight enters our environment, and more pale faces are going to suffer from melanoma, which is a skin cancer which can spread throughout your body, which
That's true.
happens because you don't have any protection from the dangerous rays of the sun. Now, you can tell that to people in 1 and 2 and 4 syllables, and they can understand that, and then they can say, oh my God, maybe I better be nicer to these people who are going to be running this show in the future. If people your age who are pale faces want to survive to be my age, they better change their behaviors now, because by the time you're my age, you will be in a majority group instead of the minority color-wise in this country. That's a fact. We have to stop. In the first place, we don't teach real history. We teach a lie that we made up to make white folks feel good.
That's true too. I give her that.
But being the majority doesn't mean that you have power.
What?
Being the majority has nothing to do with a power structure, a power dynamic. The pale faces in South Africa have never been the majority, but they have all the power.
I'm going to stop that right there because this is very dynamic, brother, as I bring you back on again. What is your thoughts? You were trying to express to her that if you look at the world, it's always been a situation in which a minority of the world is somehow in control of the majority. So if you look at the majority of the world is made up of what? Mainly people that are melanated, right? In the world. And so they are a minority in the global world. And her point of view is that, and you heard it, that, well, if white people can be impacted by the sun, environment, you said it yourself, and I agree with that when you look at birth rates and things of that nature, then they're going to somehow disappear is what Jane is saying. Mm-hmm. But But what she's not accounting for, what she should know better, is that, well, wait a minute. Throughout history, people have always been ruled by a minority over a majority. That's been throughout history, and that's what's been going on in America. So, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it's goes back to what you were saying earlier, how she tries to simplify everything, and she is an educator, and so I'm basically giving her the Frances Cress Welsing, a PhD view, and she's trying to make it third grade palatable view. Like,
right.
In her mind, she's an elementary school teacher. So everything that she does is meant to package it in a very elementary school way. But the real world is not third grade. And so the real world, in the real world, you can't say, hey, let's all just be nice to each other and move forward and move on. And I know that that's her message.
Right.
And I wasn't surprised that she kept going back to that simplified view, because she's been stuck in that. Like, she hasn't evolved. 30 years of going around the country, going around the world, doing her brown-eyed, blue-eyed exercise.
Yes.
It's the same message. It's the same method, right? And so she can say, oh, well, we can just all be educated so that we're better people and more humane to each other, so that moving forward, and it is, and she was conceding that it is about genetic annihilation, because she was talking about, like you said, miscegenation. She's basically saying, she basically like painted a scene out of Get Out, like get some of their genes so that you can live longer. You know what I mean? It's some sick stuff, but like get some of their genes so you can live longer, and also treat them better, because when you, white people, when you, my daughters, my brothers, my sisters, my grandchildren, when you are minorities in America, and my children and grandchildren are the majority, you need to be nice to them so that they will treat you better. So she was saying what I was saying in a very simplified way. And it was almost a dog whistle to other white people. Like, hey guys, I'm trying to tell y'all, your time is coming, so right. you better act right. But in all reality, it's not necessarily about white people being the majority. You can be the minority and still rule. And so if you don't understand what white supremacy is, then you might think that it's all based upon majority versus minority. But white people have been the minority in the world ever since they appeared, 10,000 years ago. So they've never been the majority. Everywhere they go, they're the minority. And they understand that subconsciously. That's why they act the way they act, and that's why they do what they do.
Right.
Tell the truth.
Let me just say this to you too, brother. And let me say peace to Jackie for giving me the super chat. I appreciate that, sister.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for coming through. We got Jackie in the house. We got QT1, Brittany Dunn. We got my man George Frazier. Sincerely, A. Lucy. Finley Rivers Kennels. He's got that outdoor channel. He goes out there hunting out there in Texas. It's very entertaining, folks. Let me just say this. We have to understand this, that there are some older people who are what they are, who don't progress. They kind of stuck in the time that and I think she's made she's been very popular around the whole issue of what she does with her tests. And someone else super chatted me as well. Excuse me, brother. I got to get this person. Inspired One. Let's see. Inspired One says this: any focus on African spiritual, Kemet, Kush, and Nubia. Interesting. Peace to you.
Thank you for the super chat.
I definitely will be doing shows about those type of those kind of subjects. I appreciate you coming over and giving the super chat. Inspired One, I appreciate that. Just want to give you that respect for coming in with that super chat. I think I might have missed that. Let me see if I can put that up here on the. Somehow I missed that, and I want to apologize to the Inspired One. I would like to put that on the screen. But thank you, Inspired One, for that super chat and for the words. Now we got Marlo's music channel, who's just come in saying thank you for the information, man. I thank you all for being here. We got a nice crowd starting to build up in the chat room, starting to watch the program. And by the way, everybody, we are live on Facebook, on my Facebook channel, The Information Man Show. We're live on Periscope, Twitter right now. And my Twitter is @Clinton06. And of course, we're live on YouTube right here. But make sure you share this in all of your social media. Tiffany Jackson, good to see you. There's a lot of great folks in there. Inspired One, thank you. I see you again. Thank you again. Now, she is what she is. And I noticed there's something bothers me here, and I got to ask you this. Nobody was really checking for Jane Elliott over the last few years or months until the whole, in my opinion, this is my opinion, until the whole George Floyd situation broke out. And now you have white people out there marching and protesting and coming a part of joining the Black Lives Matter movement. And I got to ask your thoughts about that too. And all of a sudden now she's becoming a household name again. I'm just keeping it 100% real with you, brother.
Right.
Right. Nobody was really checking for her. Now, I just think that she needs to update her data, because it was obvious to me when she tried to marginalize the statement that you made about the genetic survival of Frances Welsing, her ISIS papers. I don't know if Jane Elliott either is aware of her or she's being what we call this conscientiously stupid. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Dr. Martin Luther King said that the most dangerous thing in America is being conscientiously stupid or sincere ignorant. Sincere ignorant is when you just don't know something. Conscientiously stupid is when you know better than what you're saying, but you're saying it because you got another agenda in mind. So I find it very difficult that Jane Elliott is not familiar with the ISIS paper or the work of Sister Welsing. What is your thoughts?
To my knowledge, I've learned a lot since this video has dropped, and a lot of people have been teaching me about, Jane and her past and some of the work that Frances Cress Welsing has done. And so to my knowledge, she's done panels and done events with Dr. Welsing back in the 80s. So as far as what I've heard from other people, she's well aware of who Dr. Welsing is and has worked with her side by side.
So am I wrong or right by giving my personal opinion, because that's what it is, opinion, that in some ways, given the words of Dr. King, that she showed conscientious stupidity, because when you said what you said, you didn't say something to her that was foreign, but she dismissed what you said, which makes me think that when Dr. Welsing was talking about this, that maybe in the back of her mind, I'm putting words in her mouth, she might have never respected the work of Frances Welsing, because this is what white society does to black intelligence. When we have black people in science, they try to discredit it. Are you familiar with Ivan Van Sertima, the book
Yes.
They Came Before Columbus 800 BC?
Yes, sir. Yep.
You have anthropologists trying to discredit his work, and his work is steeped in research, right? Yep. Because why? It has a black face on it. Anytime black people talk about our history, then they have to demonize it. Like pyramids. Oh, the pyramids were created by little green men from space. You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let me go on with the next part of this interview you did with her and get your thoughts. Here we go.
It can have something to do with it if you have if you have civilized and educated human beings, if you have people who know the truth instead of the lie, if you stop allowing your morals to be dictated by the picture of a white man hanging on a cross.
Now, she's right about
might be
that.
a step in the right direction if we would teach people.
She's right about that. You got to get that character off your cross. Let's move on.
That in the Bible, it says that Jesus had woolly hair and feet of bronze.
She's right.
You might think about that occasionally. This miseducation starts pre-birth and it continues until after you're dead. We need to make pale-faced people aware of the damage that is being done to them by their own ignorance. And I'd really love to say that we can solve this problem by talking about the past, or that we can solve this problem by making payments to black people. But if you're going to do it that way, then first you have to pay off the Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they
If you're gonna
got
start
paid.
with
They got
reparations,
paid.
we'll have to.
And they have land.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
They have land. They have
You haven't
reservations, and they also have
Oh,
economic.
yeah, and
reparations.
would
They
you
have
like to talk to
taxes.
me about reservations and what a wonderful payment that is? Would you like to be on a reservation? Would you be willing to, would all the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation?
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Well, was that a smart thing to do? I don't think it was.
It depends on who's driving that car, who's the captain.
Go to a Navajo reservation and see if you think you'd like to live that way.
No, I've been to a reservation. I've been to a reservation in Montana.
Did you think it was a really comfortable place to be?
Say it again.
Do you think it was a really comfortable place to be?
The way that they were living, no, I wouldn't live like that.
Oh, okay.
But the whole planet is a prison for black people. So like it can't get any worse for black people. So you can't. I'm not gonna look at somebody else and say, oh shoot, like I don't want my own land. I don't want a shot at that. I would never say that. A black person is not gonna say I don't want to have a chance to create my own civilization and my own society. Everybody wants that chance and everybody deserves that chance. And black people deserve reparations in the form of land, in the form of cash payments, and in the form of some type of tax consideration. So yeah, it may not have worked out for the natives, but this is 2020 and this is a totally different people and everybody is
right there. I'm sorry, brother. I'm going to have to get on it. I'm sorry. Because see what you've done, brother, you've walked into the Information Man show. Now you can't tell me, young brother, that you did not hear her say under her breath, and let's do a survey. Everybody in the chat room. Did you hear Jane Elliott say in the chat room, ladies and gentlemen, and girls and boys, under her breath, she said, bullshit. Everybody, let's take the survey. Put a 1 if you heard her say that. Now, do I have to move it back just slightly here? I will if I have to, because we got to say the truth here. Here we go.
So yeah, it may not have worked out for the natives, but this is 2020, and this is a totally different people.
Oh, there it is again. There it is again. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in the chat room is putting a 1 because they also heard the first presentation I did on this. Now, with that said, thank you for adding some context to this, brother, because what you've just done for me is that you have helped me to eliminate my misinformation, which is, for some reason, that's the problem when you soundbite stuff. You don't get the full context. You said you never answered the direct question. It just sort of led to her saying those things because you just let her take the interview where she was going to take it with the way you asked questions in certain areas. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash the woman because you did hear me say as we were listening to her, hell, she's making good points right there. Yes, the white Jesus. Yeah. So Jane Elliott, what's difficult about her is that within her rhetoric, there is a lot of truth within her rhetoric. But then when it comes to empowering black people, in my opinion, is in the form of the debt that's owed. That's where she falls short. And I felt that she triggered herself now that I got the right perspective because she did say the word bullshit as you were making the argument or you were making the statement of, I believe, fact. Yeah. Now, come on, young brother, get the wax out of the ears. You heard her say bullshit.
In the moment, man, I promise you I didn't hear it, man. And when I listened to your broadcast, I said, what? I said, hold on, man. And I played your broadcast back many times. I was like, hold on, what? Let me. Oh, wow.
I gotta apologize to you. My sound was jacked up on that. I had my mix board volume up too high, so I gotta apologize for some of the sound issues in there. But
yeah,
let's be honest. Let's examine this. If you really play it back for yourself, because you got the master audio, brother, yourself.
I do.
She did say under her breath, so slightly, bullshit. I've got a lot of folks that's watching us here. Mm-hmm. They're putting in the chat room right now 1 for yes, they did hear it.
Right. Yeah.
Now, once again,
but that's beautiful though. That's beautiful.
Okay.
That's a beautiful thing. at the end of the day, everything that I do, man, I would.
Okay.
I'm not trying to argue. I just
Okay.
want to discuss the truth. That's all I want. That's all I want. And however whatever form of that truth comes in, I don't care. That's not up to me, you know?
Right.
And so I'm just glad to get the truth. I wasn't trying to expose her. I wasn't trying to, set her up to fail. I was just trying to set up a conversation that was truthful and that was going to move from the basic elementary 3rd grade level comprehension that she get. Like she had, and I held her in high esteem before I talked to her. And now I don't hold her on that pedestal. But once I studied what she said and how she said it, I realized that there were major holes, and I was like, oh shoot, like nobody's really challenged her. And someone like that is as skilled and as rigid in their talking points, you can't directly challenge it. But like I'm just proud of the fact that I was able to extract some true information, a true opinion, because she doesn't give opinions. She just states little facts and little tidbits, little nuggets of information. So I was able to extract real opinion from that. And so if she said bullshit, I don't care. Like she ain't talking to me. She's talking to herself, and she's talking to her people. And now I've been able to take that veil of like, that halo effect that she's had for so many years, just because she says to black people, hey, Jesus is black. And that's all we need to hear. And she good. She can come to the cookout. But look, she went, like everything came out of her and the truth came out. And if she said that, she's not disrespecting me. She's disrespecting her own legacy. And unfortunately she did that, but it is what it is, bro.
Right. Well, this is my point of view on this. And I'm going to go and we're going to move on to some other topics, but I just had to get I couldn't bring you on this program and not get it from the actual man who actually did the video to maybe put out some misnomers. But the fact that you asked her questions in a way that you didn't lead her on, but she simply let it rip. That speaks to your interview skills, your ability to just let the person feel comfortable to say what. So I got to give you kudos on that. But this is the thing, though, brother Williams, I got to bring up that concerns me is that black people have showered her with love because let's be honest, to a certain degree, we want white people to love us. Let's be honest. Come on. We got here. Some of us got here through slave ships. Some of us were already native on the land. All right. But for some reason, all these years, we've been trying to get white people to love us, to respect us, and to accept us as full-fledged citizens. Why else would black men and women go to military, fight in every damn war, all the way down to the Revolutionary War with Christopher Attucks, who, by the way, brother, I believe in telling the truth. He fought on the wrong side, but that's a whole nother subject. He fought for the wrong revolution, but that's a whole nother subject again. But black people have shown our patriotism, even though when you go to a ball game and they play the national anthem, we know that the guy, Francis Key, who wrote the song, the second stanza talks about killing black people, right? And this guy owned slaves and everything else, right? So we got black folks that still put their hands over their heart like this, right? And we have black people who work a hard day's work and pay our taxes, and we revere America. And we try to say to white people, hey, I'm not a criminal, give me a chance. My question is, has that veil been removed, or is that more of a problem of black people and the fact that we got to let Pharaoh go? At some point in time, black people got to start loving ourselves and stop trying to prove to other people who and what we are and define ourselves for ourselves. We're always defining ourselves through the hourglass of the larger society because we've been stereotyped, through caricatures and all this sort of shit, throughout the years. What are your thoughts?
I mean, that's heavy, bro. That's a profound question. We're like in a hypnotic state. That's how I feel. We're in a hypnotic state. We've been hypnotized by racism and white supremacy. We've been misinformed. We've been indoctrinated with their thoughts and ideas. We've been mentally and sometimes physically castrated to the point where our only means of survival is to, pony up to the white supremacists and be nice with them so that they will take care of us. You think about how dogs have been domesticated over the years.
Yes.
A dog in a wild will tear your head off. But now most of these dogs now, they know to come up to you and wag their tail because you are going to take care of them. And if they're biting you and if they're doing all this other stuff, then their master is not going to take care of them. So we have been socialized as animals in this country and in this world for the past 400 years. It hasn't been a long time that we've been subjugated and exploited like this. But because we've been subjugated and exploited so long, we inherently look to them as our mother and father that will take care of us. So that's why we appeal to them. Like, I hate to say it, but like the Black Lives Matter movement, it's like teenagers appealing to their parents. Hey, give me a better allowance. Hey, treat me better. I deserve better. That's the way that we appeal to the white supremacists, because we've been socialized to do that. And the white supremacist has killed off and taken away everybody that has fought for us and been able to show us a better in a more constructive way to do things. And so because that's all that we've seen and that's all that we know, we react that way. And so if you don't know any better, you can't do any better. Right. And so, like I said, when I started reading books and just really tapping into some real history, then things started to awaken in me and started to change in me. But until then, I might have been, I would like 7-8 years ago, I would have been on the other side, appealing to them as if I need approval from them and I want them to understand me and my plight. But once you understand, like, that's not the issue, then you're going to act differently. But a lot of us don't know any better, man.
Okay. Now, before we get into the other rapid fire questions, brother, let me play something that Jane Elliott saying that she was inspired by the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me throw this in your ear just for you to study on this, brother. I have a personal problem with the fact that the only time we seem to celebrate the life, particularly of black men or black women and men, okay, because black women are a part of this as well. The only time we celebrate the life of our people, this country celebrates the life of a black person outside of sports, okay, outside of sports, is when we are dead. Because if you saw the Rolling Stones magazine cover, check this out. You had a picture of a black woman with a young child standing behind her like a single black mother. I don't like that look. Then you had white people or people in the back crowd. Then you had the American flag. And then the only black man that you had on that cover was a black man who is no longer with us, and that's George Floyd on her shirt. So the woman had a shirt with the George Floyd, who is no longer with us, on the shirt. Mm-hmm. I thought that when you break it down from a critical thinking point of view, psychoanalyze that was, what message are they trying to send when they're trying to send a message that, okay, the black woman, we're going to put the black woman on the pedestal with the black child behind her, the black male child behind her, which once again promotes the broken family of no black male around. And then the only black male is a black male that's on her t-shirt as a symbolism. That is problematic. That is a problem. And when you look at Black Lives Matter, just real quick, when you look at Black Lives Matter and you go to their website, and there is very little to nothing related to black men, which they built their movement off black men who have been killed, going all the way back to Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, up on to down to my man George Floyd. And of course, I'm going to give some love and peace to Breonna Taylor, who her killers, which are those despicable police, who still are walking around free. So that to me makes me wonder, what is black woman's life worth? Okay, if any, because these guys are walking around as if nothing they did was wrong. So I just had to throw that out as food for thought. Okay, just food for thought. But Jane Elliott should have known better, because her favorite guy said this about reparations. Listen to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their
is
farm.
power.
Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Tell the truth.
Information is
Tell the
power.
Okay, you heard Dr. King breaking it down. You didn't hear the I have a dream, Dr. King. You heard a Dr. King that said, we're coming to get our check. Okay? What is your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, man, I love that. I've used that audio clip in a few of my episodes, man. So, yeah, it when it comes to Martin Luther King, they always use the version, you know, their own sanitized, whitewashed version of him. And because they are not true students of history, especially of our history, they're only going to pick and choose, you know, the things that they like, or they may not even, try to go after that information. Just whatever is given to them, whatever's presented. If they hear something that's good in their mind, it's like, that's all I need to hear. Like that. I like what he said. And so they're not going to go search further than the I have a dream speech, because to them, what more do I need to hear from him? That was great. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't surprise me that she, wouldn't mention that, or maybe would not even have heard that, because she's probably not searching for it. Once again, she's a third grade teacher. She speaks on a very elementary level. And so for her to go past the elementary view of elementary worldview and teaching stance, I don't expect her to do that.
Okay, let me go into the next question. But everybody out there, if you have not subscribed to the Information Man Show, definitely. Now, do me the biggest favor, everybody. This is the time when I have to promote. I need everybody. I think he's got about 3 or whatever, something on his channel. I need everybody that's watching, everybody in the chat room. I put the link to this brother's channel, the Sox and Sandals podcast. I put that link in this description of this video. I need everybody with all the delivered speed, when you have an opportunity, to subscribe, and I say subscribe to his channel. He's also, brother, you do the honors. What are the other platforms we can find you on?
Oh yeah, I'm on iTunes, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find a podcast, I'm there.
Okay,
Spotify,
all right, I'm on those too, brother. Those are good platforms. Now, so there you is. So you can hear his radio style version of his podcast on those platforms. You can check out his live YouTube version of his podcast on his channel. It's in the description of this video, or you can just go straight to Sox and Sandals podcast on YouTube and subscribe to his channel. Give him some support. I'm a brother that believes in supporting when you have black content creators, when you have great content creators that are doing the work for our people, putting out the right words and right rhythms and vibrations into the universe, that we need to support brothers like this and sisters. So I definitely appreciate you being here today, and everybody make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Information Man.
Appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that love. I'm late to the YouTube game. You know,
it's all right, man. Any tips you need, brother, any tips you need, brother, just contact me. Any tips you need, I'm more than willing to assist you in any matters as it relates to these things. Let me do this. Now we're gonna go, because I don't want to take up all your time, because I know you got family there and everything, but I have to get through these statements, and I'm gonna shorten my words so that I can get your words mainly. Now, give me your thoughts about George Floyd. The pictures are going to lead us to our discussion. George Floyd.
Oh man, I mean, that's our brother, that's our cousin. You know, it's purely, it's heartbreaking, man. I mean, to be honest, man, I haven't even watched that video. I can't watch that stuff no more, man. It really affects me on a deep level. You know, I've read the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and I'm still dealing with my own trauma for everything that we've gone through. And I feel it, man. I feel it on a deep level. So it's really tough. It's really tough to see that and hear about that and know that and yeah, man. But George was a solid dude, really good dude, good heart. And I know where he's from. I'm from Portland, Oregon, but I went to college in Houston, Texas Southern University. He's from CUNY Homes, which is right across the street from my alma mater, man. So I know where he came from, man. And if you made it out of CUNY Homes, you are a strong brother. You are a solid individual. And so for him to make it out of there, to make it out of that war zone, to go to Minneapolis and get killed like that, come on, man. Like something got to be done about that, bro. Like we got to get some true justice for that.
Now, let me ask you this question before we go to the next rapid fire. I did a video not too long ago, last week, and I made the argument that the Cup store, nobody in that area should shop at the Cup store. I talked to a sister who lives in that, who was down in that area, and she told me the real reason why he got accused of a $20 bill. It actually, I'm going to be getting this sister on. She's got the backstory that they're not telling you on the news, how it really went down. But this is the question. Don't you find it interesting that they have not delivered the evidence, Exhibit B or A, of a counterfeit $20 bill? This man was arrested. This man was roughed. No, this man wasn't arrested. This man was killed. This man was roughed up. Yet they never said, we have your $20 bill. We just tested it. It's counterfeit. Why would you do that to a man over a supposedly counterfeit $20 bill? To this date, no lawyer, no news, no one has identified that that he had a counterfeit $20 bill. Now, I have it on good information from someone I talked to that he actually went to another store before he went to Cups Foods, where he may have possibly been slipped and given a fake bill. And then he went over to Cup Foods and presented them with a bill, in which they then did what? Called the police on him. And supposedly they knew who George Floyd was in this community. So my question is, this man might have gotten killed and had the police called on him over something that may not even have been legitimate. And nobody is asking that question. Just a food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. It's nonsense, bro. It's nonsense. And I stand by, believe half of what you see and none of what you heard. So when they said a fake $20 bill, like that means absolutely nothing to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so in the grand scheme of white supremacy, what it is and how it works, Neely Fuller talks to us about race soldiers and what their mission is, and so they're out to destroy non-black people and terrorize non-white people, I should say. And we have been created as throwaway people in the system of white supremacy. So they know if they're having a bad day, if they want to get their shit off and just do whatever they want to do to anybody that they want to, we are eligible for that mistreatment. And so when I hear a $20 bill, like ain't nobody gonna people would barely get arrested for a $20 bill, let alone get killed for a $20 bill. So you can be black and you can be killed for playing video games with your nephew. You can be killed for having Skittles in your pocket that you bought. And so a fake $20 bill, I mean that means nothing in the grand scheme of this is white supremacy. You have race soldiers all around the country that are white supremacists, like hardcore white supremacists. And so they can say the $20 bill because that's the best story that they can come up with, just like they said Michael Brown stole something from a store. And that's not the truth. The truth is all we need to know is that they killed him, and he shouldn't have died. Period. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Now, before we end the program today, brother, I'm going to play a video that I need you to analyze. I need to get your opinion on, and it's one that's going to have emotional effect on the chat room as it has before, you and me. But let me get to this other rapid fire question. What is your thoughts about ADOS?
The term, the group, what exactly?
Are you in favor of what it represents, meaning American descendants of slavery, meaning that to get reparations, the important part of it is that it must be what? A lineage factor, meaning for black people, because we have never, as black people, actually carved out our lineage here in America. Other groups come over, and I'm not putting any shade on those who come from the Caribbean or even a continent. Okay, I love my brothers and sisters in the diaspora, but someone from the Caribbean will very well tell you, I'm from Jamaica, I'm Caribbean, I'm this. They identify a land, a culture, a social construct, right? Of some sort. We as black people have never decided to say, hey, you know, we need to carve out what we represent here in America, because our history is very different in some ways than other people who might have went through oppression as well. But we got CARICOM, which is what? Getting reparations for the Caribbean people or brothers and sisters who are getting their reparations from Great Britain. We got the brothers in South Africa saying, we want our goddamn land back. So who am I to tell the South Africans or my Jamaican brothers they don't have a right to fight against Great Britain to get their reparations, right?
Right.
But it seems like today in America, when black people that are born here who come out of the slavery, the Jim Crow, the redlining, as you know, the plantations, all of that shit, that history. When we speak about our lineage, now everybody's telling us, be quiet, shut up, go away. So I am a supporter of this movement simply because I am in agreement with the execution of what they are about, brother. And I just wanted to get your opinions. I'm not trying to put you in no bad light or anything like that or nothing like that.
No, it's all good. I mean, I am an ADOS, you know, according to that. Like my lineage would deem that if they start giving reparations to someone that is a American descendant of slavery, then that comes to me. And so I'm with that movement. However, whatever terminology you want to use behind it, whether it's ADOS, FBA, Foundational Black American, it's all talking about lineage. And so I'm all about it and I'm all for it. And we definitely deserve our reparations, no doubt about it. So whatever group is pushing that movement, I'm with it. If that's the focus, I'm with it. Based upon lineage and American lineage, Black American lineage, let's get it. You know what I mean?
All right. Brother Bernie, a legendary brother's in the house. Thank you for the $20 super chat, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the super chat.
Bernie, man, let me tell you something real quick, brother Bernie. I appreciate what you're doing over there on your channel. Thank you for letting me come on board and, you know, spit a little bit of knowledge, little info knowledge on your platform, brother. And I look forward to many more heartily, enjoyable and black male talk, brother, on your channel. I look forward to more of it. So I appreciate that, brother Bernie.
Thank you for the super chat.
Appreciate you giving me the super chat, brother. Let me get to the next rapid question for you, brother. This is another one of those that are very important questions. Let me go right to it right now. What are your Ahmaud Arbery? Let me just get into it right now.
Thoughts on Ahmaud?
What is your thoughts? Because this is the question, brother. Why can a black man not jog?
Right. Yeah, man, it's a wild atmosphere that we have going on in America. You know what Trump has inspired his people to do. So it's just another tragic case of somebody caught by themselves with no gun on them. You know what I mean? And so after that happened, I got myself a gun. I'm working on getting my concealed carry, and I would encourage every black person in America to get their gun and get the concealed carry license as well, if you need it. I don't know. I live in Oregon. specifically Multnomah County. So you got to have a concealed carry. We can't just open carry in the state or in the county. But yeah, man, it's just we got to protect ourselves at all times. We cannot take our freedom for granted, because this freedom that America talks about is for white people, not black people. You think you free, you think you a citizen, you think you got all this protection under the laws. You don't got protection from white supremacy. You can go anywhere in the world and it's going to be a Western European person that hates you and wants to kill you. And so at all times, man, we got to be ready. We can't be scared, but we just got to be ready though, you know?
I'll tell you how it works, brother. If you are a white person in America, you can get in a car, take your family, and you can drive across the country in any part of the country and not nobody gonna put a finger on you due to your race. But for a black man to put his children in a car and wife and drive across the country and go into the backwoods, that's dangerous. Which is why you had the Green Book back in the day. Remember the Green Book, which allowed black people to travel safely throughout the country. The Green Book told black people at that time, back in the 50s and 40s, this is the areas that you can travel safely, and these are the places that you can stay at that are black establishments, restaurants, gas stations, and such, right? So black people had their own travel for safety book. I would be very arrogant to say that we might still need such a travel book today, because there are places that even in the West Coast where me and you're up in the great coast of the great Northwest up there. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I had a friend of mine that told me, hey, come on, travel up, just drive up, no problem. I said, hell no, I'm not driving up the coast. No, a black man by himself? No.
I don't blame you.
That's a sad commentary for this so-called America that we live in and our citizenship, brother.
Info man, I live in the whitest city in the country. Portland is the whitest city in the United States, you know, just per capita when it comes to a metropolitan area. So I know white supremacy from the day I was born, bro. You understand what I'm saying? So everything that's happening around the country, none of this surprises me, man. I mean, I live in the area where white supremacy is so refined, it's so sophisticated.
Wow.
If you haven't been here and you don't know, you wouldn't even you would think everybody is nice and everybody is progressive, but it's a certain type of, you know, nasty, like, you know, smile in your face, stab you in your back white supremacy that people get caught up in over here. And so, you know, for you to have extreme caution of driving up here by yourself, man, you're a wise man, because you have no idea what the white supremacist is capable of. The one that's able to be nice in your face, you know, the ones that, you know, Malcolm X talked about, the liberal. You understand what I'm saying? And so, you know, when I was living in Houston, it's weird. I appreciated the racism that they had down there. I appreciated the in your face, call me a nigger, you know, from across the street while you driving down in your car and I'm walking down the street, because I know who I'm dealing with. You understand? Like I can tell. All right, don't go over there. But in the Great Northwest, the so-called Great Northwest, man, up here in Portland, bro, it's bad. And so it'll be people that'll smile in your face, and then you end up on the news. You was at a sleepover, you know, with the homies or whatever, like that black woman. You know, it's stuff like that happens, and they end up finding your body somewhere, and then the white people don't know what happened. So
oh my God,
it's wild up here, man. So you wise not to come up here by yourself, bro.
Wow. Let me ask you this question, rapid question again.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go to Breonna Taylor. Give me your honest opinions about the Breonna Taylor case.
Well, that's our queen that we lost, man. And it's just another episode of, you know, race soldiers going wild. You know, they can go anywhere, do whatever they want. And in her particular case, they're not going to be brought to so-called justice because of the police union and what the contracts that they have, you know. So those officers are protected by that union. And so they know what they can do and what they can get away with. And so it could be Breonna, it could be me, or it could be you. They can, whenever they feel like busting up in somebody's house and letting bullets fly, you know what I mean? Somebody's going to catch a bullet if they're a non-white person, and they know that they're not going to tell the truth. They have impunity when they do that, man. So it's just another sad case. And unfortunately, you know, she's not going to be the last hashtag of 2020. You know, it's going to be something that's going to happen next week. It's going to be something
Right.
that happens next month. You understand? So, rest in peace to her. Rest in power to Breonna Taylor, and prayers up to her family and all that.
All right. This is a reminder, brother. Remember in 2006, 14 years ago, to this date, the FBI had a report that they got a report that was released, or that they got their hands on, that was put out by mistake, in which they said that all forms of law enforcement have been infiltrated by white supremacist groups, whether it be the military, the sheriffs. Now in Los Angeles, they got serious problems in the sheriff's department in Los Angeles, California right now. They're finding out that they've got a gang structure, a white supremacist gang structure within the sheriff's department in Los Angeles. They just had a recent article. I'm going to do a podcast on that. And they talked about how there was a group called the, let me just read this for you right here. In 2016 bulletin, the FBI detailed the threat of white nationalists and skinheads infiltrating police in order to disrupt investigations against fellow members of the recruits and other white supremacists. So, for example, when you wonder why is it that certain, when white people get in the same trouble that we get in, or even more, they always get off, because you have white supremacists that are lawyers, that are on the sheriff's department, that have infiltrated themselves into the legal system as judges, and they will sway the law against us. Yes, sir.
Bro, so you know what's going on in Portland right now. Well, it was going on a couple weeks ago with the federal, soldiers that came in here. Right?
Secret police. Yes, sir.
But they wasn't secret. They were in fatigues. Like, it was straight federal occupation in Portland for 2 weeks every night, because there's been protests ever since George Floyd. So it's been 2 months plus of protests every day in my city.
Wow.
Now the protest and the so-called, it's more of a demonstration. But what's been going on is you basically have thousands of white kids, or white people, but mostly white kids, ages 16 to about 23, 24. That's the main people that are out there every day. They went into the Justice Center, which is like the Supreme or a federal building. They set the Justice Center on fire. There's inmates. I had a friend that was being held, in that building, but they set that building on fire. They put it out, but because they've been attacking the Justice Center and trying to burn that building down, Trump sent in federal troops. And so you have federal troops in the city that were occupying it for 2 weeks. And you have white kids running around the city, terrorizing the city, vandalizing the city. And they don't live here. Like, it's people from the outskirts, from the suburbs, people that's not even from Portland coming in here, the Antifa crowd, and they're getting their shit off. They're doing whatever they want to do. Now, they are literally destroying property every day. There has not been one fatality. You understand what I'm saying? Uprising every night, bro. 10 o'clock when the sun go down, man, them people come out in droves. They got on gas masks. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they out there heavy, breaking stuff, tagging stuff, busting windows, all of that. The whole downtown is boarded up in Portland, Oregon still, because they're breaking down everything. Not been one fatality. And so we gotta, if you don't understand white supremacy, that's what it is right there. If you had thousands of Black Americans showing up to federal buildings, going downtown in a metropolitan city and destroying property for 60 days straight, how many fatalities would you estimate there would be? You understand? So it's just like, bro, this is what it is, man. Like, I live in a city where they show their white supremacy off every day by showing massive restraint. The police and the federal agents showing massive restraint when it comes to white people committing crimes versus Black people committing crimes. And 2-3 years ago, there was a Patriot Prayer rally. I think it was actually 2016 or maybe 2017. Patriot Prayer rally where the white supremacist Patriot Prayer people would come downtown and they would host a rally. And across the street in the other park, you had the Democratic Antifa progressive people that were there to anti-protest their protest. And so you had police surrounding the Patriot Prayer rally with their backs to them and their face towards the non-Patriot Prayer, the Antifa people. So you had police and white supremacist militia apprehending and arresting people together. There are pictures of police working side by side with white supremacist militia in apprehending and arresting other citizens that were not a part of the patriot. So I see white supremacy and the police, being buddy, coming together. I see it all the time in my city, bro. So it doesn't surprise me that they've been infiltrated. I see it firsthand all the time.
Well, let me just say this, brother. You're absolutely on the money there. Let me just say this. It is a fact that you have young white. When they talk about these protests, the negatives of the protests, they tend to want to label it on black people and Black Lives Matter, right? Yeah. But the majority of the people that's out there really is white folks who are tearing shit up.
That's a fact.
All right, and check this out. When black people go out and tear some mess up, they say, "Oh, why are you destroying your community?" Well, in this particular protest, black people weren't tearing up their community. They were involved in maybe looting some of the corporations. Who can write that shit off on their taxes anyway? Now, white people are out there tearing stuff up. Why is it that you don't hear anybody out in the media saying, "Hey, white daddy and white mother, get your damn kids off those streets. Why don't you stop tearing up your community out there?" So you never hear that. Now, they already had a report about a week ago or so that there are white supremacist groups that are wearing Black Lives Matter shirts and acting like they are part of Black Lives Matter, that they're out there for us. And they're really out there to create anarchy. And they're really part of a white supremacist group, like the infamous umbrella man, the white dude that got the umbrella out there in Minnesota. His, you know what happened? His girlfriend identified him and said, "Hey, that's my ex-boyfriend, and that's the umbrella that I brought him." And he was the one that was busting out windows and stuff out there. And I even seen footage of white guys busting out windows while the cops were watching them, Brother Williams, watching them. And then guys like Trump, and I want to ask your opinion on this, chump. Guys like Trump say, "Oh, they're anarchists. We're going to get control of the city. We're going to dominate." That's the language of white supremacy. I'm going to dominate. What's your opinion on this chump?
I mean, I don't have too much of an opinion on him. I mean, he's a stone cold white supremacist. There's not much substance that he brings to any table, to any conversation. It's a joke that he is the leader of this country. But our country is kind of a joke too. So I don't have much to say. I don't talk about Trump, man. We know what it is with him, man. He's a disgusting individual, bro. Okay, well, let's go over to Jim Crow Biden. What's your thoughts about Jim Crow? No on Jim Crow Joe. It's terrible. I did an episode on him, when he went on the Breakfast Club and said all the things, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's what he said, right? Right. and then what else did he say recently? Didn't he say something foolish again recently? Yeah, he said something like, he was talking about the Latino community and how they were more diverse than the black community or something like that. Unlike the black community, the Latino community is diverse in so many different ways. Yeah. I mean, look. I put a post out on Twitter saying that both him and Trump both have mental health problems. But look, that diversity word, that's a trick word, man. That is true. Diversity is a word that white people have made up to mean whatever they want to mean, and that's a word for them. So when he says that, he could be factual in that. If all and actually he's talking about a mindset and what people are asking for, right? So I would pray that foundational Black Americans, that ADOS would not be diverse. I pray that we will be monolithic in y'all cutting a check. Let's not be diverse. Let's all be on the same page. Let's all tell them, "Hey man, what can we do for your community? How can we be your ally?" Cut the check. Well, there's disparities in healthcare and there's, prison reform, defund the police. Is that what you want? Cut the check. Oh, well, can we just like maybe come clean up your schools and maybe start some first time homeowner programs and some grants? Cut the check. Right. I don't want us to be diverse. So Latinos can be diverse as they want. That's that group. They got different issues. They got different problems and they identify with Europe. You know what I mean? They identify with Cuba, they identify with Dominican, they identify with other countries and other nations and other ideologies. So
Right.
yeah, they can be diverse as diverse as they want to. Let us be as monolithic as reparations. Period.
Right. Not to mention that you have people within that culture that look just like me and you. You got when you go to South America, you have Brazil, which really Brazil is a black country, but when they advertise it, they usually show you white Brazilians, and those white Brazilians do not represent the real face of Brazil. And so as a result, people who look like us in those countries are dealing with racism. When you look at Mexico, a lot of people don't know this. There is an African presence was in Mexico, which is why you have Mexican people that have dark skin, but sometimes they won't even admit it. And even one of their generals who's responsible for their revolution was a black man himself, and they had slaves that were brought there as well.
Info man, can I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, brother. Yeah, go ahead. You're not cutting me off, brother. No way. No problem.
One thing I want to say.
Yes,
I want to say about what Joe just did, and also what Jane did.
Okay.
If you notice what the white supremacist does, they take the heat off themselves and they try to pit so-called minority groups against each other.
Right.
So now, so
Right.
when Joe says, "Oh, black people are more diverse than Latinos," then you got blacks talking about Latinos,
Okay.
as opposed to the white supremacists. The white supremacist is your enemy. The Latino
Right.
is not your enemy. You have Jane Elliott bringing up Native Americans and blacks and who deserves what. And now I see on Twitter and I see other people talking about natives and blacks and natives, who deserves this, who's that, who's the real native. So we end up arguing amongst each other when all they're doing is diverting the attention from themselves over to these two groups. And now these two groups, they want to make them fight for scraps.
Right, because
we shouldn't be looking at the other so-called minority group that's being disenfranchised. That has nothing to do with me. But they want to divert that attention all the time, bro.
And you know, that's why Neely Fuller Jr. said himself that white supremacy plays on both sides of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides. So we'll be confused. It confuses us. So let me ask you this question then the next rapid fire as we get close to a conclusion, brother. Let me see where this right here. We talked about Joe Biden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of the okie doke of Joe Biden is that there's all this talk about whether he's going to put a black woman on the ticket right here. Is it going to be Stacey Adams? Is it going to be Kamala? And we know she's got a terrible record when it comes to her police record dealing with black males in California, right? And also what she did to a black woman as it relates to truancy laws in California. She's got quite a record. So do you think, because there's been video put out there where you have all these prominent black women that you see on NBC, CNN, they made some video talking about Joe Biden, please, Joe Biden, you got to pick a black woman, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. Once again, getting on your knees and praying to Master, please give us the cornbread. So what is your thoughts? Are we going to be fooled by the possibility of a black female vice president?
Yes, we will, because just like you said, all those so-called influential, black female spokespersons, the Angela Rise, the who else was on there? Man, I can't think of their names, but yeah, I know exactly what video that you're talking about. And yeah, we will be fooled because certain people believe, like they really believe in this political system, info man. Like they really think that representation matters. Like that's all they want. They just want to matter and they want to have representation. Most black people don't want justice. They just want a more comfortable seat in the system of white supremacy. They want a seat at the table of white supremacy. They don't want to build their own table. They don't want to break away from the master because the master brings them comfort. Some of them went to school too long to break away. Some of them got a master's and a PhD, and they're so invested in in the dream that they've been sold and the skills that they've been given that I'm not going to break away from this because I got too many student loans. I spent too much time to break away from everything that I've been taught. So let me just find a more comfortable seat in the system of white supremacy. Let me just wade in the waters of white supremacy a little bit longer. It started out cold. Now it's starting to get warm because I'm still there. And you know what? And you know what? I'm making X amount of dollars. I got a good job. I got a house. I got a dog, and I'm comfortable. You understand what I'm saying? So if there's a lot of people that are just seeking comfort. They're not seeking justice. They don't want to sacrifice. You know, we need to have a sacrificial generation, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke would say. We have to break away. We have to break away. And so, you know, we believe that. And I'm sorry, Mr. Sister BT, like black spaces in high places. I'm sorry, I disagree.
She says
black faces take up space in high places. We were fooled, blah blah blah. Oh, I mean that's cool. I understand. Like we can agree to disagree, but a black space in a high place ain't gonna do nothing about white supremacy. This is a system. You know, it's a system of domination. So you put a black woman in that seat, all she's gonna do is answer to the master. She's not gonna produce any constructive change. Even you put a black man in that seat, there's not been any constructive change for black people. So if we don't learn from history, if we don't just accept the fact that this shit is fucked up and we're not going to solve it by going through the current political system, if we don't listen to Marcus Garvey, if we don't listen to Francis Cress Welsing, if we don't listen to Malcolm X, if we don't listen to Elijah Muhammad, if we don't do for self, then we're going to be in the same situation, just like we were in the 60s and the 70s. We're going to be marching. We're going to be protesting. We're going to be begging Joe Biden, an open racist, to give us a job. That's pathetic, man. It's pathetic, bro.
But you know what, Brother Williams? Just a little pushback here. Just a little, not much.
No problem.
There are people out there that can make the argument as to what you just said and say, well, black people have been dealing with racists in the White House forever. Dr. King had to deal with LB. Nick Clinton, we've been dealing with these type of individuals all our life as black people. Black people have had to cut deals and deal with the white supremacist system just to get a little bit of crumbs off the table. That's the argument that people would make and say, well, couldn't a sister? Now, let me give you my personal opinion. This is the reason why I don't think it'll happen. It won't be successful for him. And this is not to put shade on black women. I don't think that white women would appreciate a black woman being vice president or that close to the White House before they get it. That's my thinking, because remember, Joe Biden's got health problems. And if he was to get in there, he would be, any black woman would be one heartbeat away from being the president. And so I don't think they want this to happen, because you already have Donald Trump and his mega hats that are doing everything they can to start doing what? Suppressing the vote. This is happening now, folks. So my question is, will society accept that? Because they already said, hey, we gave you Obama. What y'all Negroes complaining about? We gave you Obama. Didn't y'all remember we gave y'all Obama? Shouldn't y'all be happy with the biscuits that we put on your table? Okay.
But they will accept it, because whatever black woman you put in that seat, she's not going to do nothing for black people. Kamala already told you what she ain't going to do for black people. Like, she was very explicit about what she's not going to do. So they know that Kamala Harris is on code with them. Right. And Kamala
Harris is not what we would call ADOS. If you look at her background, her lineage is not grounded as ADOS. She went to Howard, but guess what? Check this out. When she had the debate with Joe Biden, she actually lied. Do you know that she went to school in Berkeley? Berkeley is one of the most liberal cities in America, if not the most. The school was Berkeley High School. I know, because I worked in Berkeley. It was already integrated. So when she got there, she wasn't. So she tells little stories that really hurts her credibility. Let's move into the next rapid question here. So we talked about Joe Biden. Give me your opinion on John Lewis. And this is not to throw shade on John Lewis, but I have a lot of problems with black politicians today. John Lewis was in office for over 30 years. When you separate him from the sacrifice he made on the Pettus Bridge, which is named after a racist Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard, I give him his kudos for he walked across that bridge. He got hurt. But I have to also recognize that John Lewis wasn't the only one that got hurt on that bridge. You had Stokely Carmichael that was on that bridge. Kwame Ture, he got hurt on that bridge. Black women got hurt on that bridge. Many black folks got hurt on that bridge. And the black folks that lived in that community, after they left from that march, they had to deal with those white supremacists in Alabama and Selma. So as we give him respect, I believe he became to prominence because he was a part of that inner circle of Dr. King, Andrew Young, Ralph Abernathy, and all those guys. So that kind of put him on a pedestal over the regular black person that me and you would never know their name that probably got themselves hurt on that bridge that day. Now, all due respect to John Lewis, we can't look at, and I'm quoting this from Ruby Sellis. Ruby Sales said this, and she was in that movement on that damn bridge. We can't look at our black leaders through the eyes of rugged individualism. That's how Europeans look at their history. That's why they put George Washington on the dollar. They got statues like Confederate statues. They look at it through the eyes of an individual, particularly white males. Black people, our history has to be looked at through the lens of the collective whole. John Lewis and Dr. King and all of them could not do what they did if it had not been for black people, the masses of black people, leading in those marches. So when we look at a John Lewis, as I put him on the screen, we have to look at, there's an old saying, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. Outside of his good works in civil rights, what did he really do for the black community in Atlanta that he represented? When I looked at the numbers, do you know he presided over over an area in Atlanta that had very high unemployment amongst black people, particularly high unemployment, a lot of issues. And black politicians, I believe today have failed us today, not what they did yesterday.
Well, first things first, rest in peace to John Lewis.
Yes, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Prayers
to his family.
Yes.
And friends and loved ones, and all of that. So, there's a lot that goes on in my mind. So first things first, I can't say that I have too much historical knowledge of what he's done. I know who he is, and I know about the Edmund Pettus Bridge and all that. But as far as what he's done, I don't know. So, but I'll say this: he was a politician.
Yes,
a career politician. He came up in an era where he's seen probably a lot of his friends killed or imprisoned.
Right.
And so he did what he could do to survive. And he's he's a rare breed of someone who came out of that era and was able to survive and do something. He didn't do enough, but he did something. He had to do something. You know what I mean? So to not even get into the particulars, he survived and he made it. And so I salute him for that. Could he have done more? I wish he would have done more. I wish a lot of people would have done more. But to me, when I think about a John Lewis or any of our spokespersons that people will call leaders for us, when I think about what they've done or what they weren't able to do and what they settled for, a lot of what they did was out of survival because everybody else was jailed or killed. And so I think about John Lewis the same way I think about the black church. I was born, into Christianity, raised in it heavily. I was a Christian hardcore, and I don't consider myself a Christian. I definitely I'm not dogmatic about any type of religious system. But as Neely Fuller would say, I'm still learning. But I definitely take the spiritual principles from the Bible, but not the dogma of it. So when I think about Christianity, at first I thought the Christian church failed me. Right. I thought that they didn't tell me enough. They didn't tell me the truth. They didn't let me know that Jesus was black. They didn't really break down the history of how this Bible came together. All they told me was that to praise God and worship God and and pray to God and everything is going to be all right. They told me that everybody that was a Christian had the Holy Spirit and we was all one family. And then when I grew up, I realized that that's not the truth. The spirit of white supremacy is stronger than the spirit of stronger than the Holy Spirit, according to the practicality of what's actually playing out. Not in a literal sense, but just like I see white supremacy stronger than Christianity all day, every day. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so
right.
And so then I got mad at my pastor. I got mad at my parents. I got mad at everybody, all my Bible study. I got mad at everybody who didn't tell me the truth about racism. Y'all talking about Jesus, 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 but you're not talking about racism. But then the more and more I read, the more and more I did research, I realized that the church was the only place where that was the only safe haven that black people had. That was the only institution that we had where we could go and we could express ourselves.
Tell the truth.
Where we could have what Neely Fuller likes to say, we could have codification. We know that when we go to church, we're gonna be dressed up, we're gonna sing, we're gonna dance, we're gonna shout, and we're gonna eat good afterwards. And we looking forward to that experience. And so we took that religion, we took that faith, and we made it ours. Now, has it hindered us? Has it hurt us? Yes. But did it give us some good things? Did it give us codification? Did it teach a lot of people how to, play music? Did it teach a lot of people how to sing? Did it give us anything? It gave us some things. It gave us a structure. It gave us a framework. And so looping it back into John Lewis.
Yes, sir.
He's like the church. Like that was all he had. All he had was what he knew. And he did the best with what he had. It's not enough, but he did the best that he could. And I hate that he's not he wasn't able to accomplish as much as he should have, or we would like him to have accomplished in 30 years. But he did what he could do. He survived. And, he's a black man living in a white man's country with a lack of he had no technology. He had no Google. He had no YouTube. He couldn't rapidly educate himself. All he could do was just do what he did. So I don't have too much of an opinion other than he was a black man that survived that era. And, salute to him for that.
Well, let me just, I know some things about him. I'm just going to say briefly. One of the things I think was his claim of fame was being a part of the 65 the Voters' Right Act, which he's been championing to keep that in place. Now, this is what's problematic about it. If black people are really true citizens of this country, remember they emancipated us. If you look at what emancipation really means, that wasn't really freedom. We just became the property, or became under the guise of the government when Abraham Lincoln was trying to keep the Union together, and he was willing to do whatever it could, free us or not free us. And he didn't free us all. And so when we went from plantation slavery, we went back into another slavery called what? Jim Crow, sharecropping, convict leasing, putting black men into the industrial complex system of prison system, which I know very well because I deal with guys within the prison system. I try to help counsel guys that are dealing with a lot of mental things in the prison system. Now, what I have to say about John Lewis, to conclude on John Lewis, is that when you look at his bills that he was a part of, most of it was focusing on other people. Like he had no problem making sure that gay people, LGBTQ, get what's due them. Okay, they have a right to get what's due them. But when I looked at his voting records, and there was very little that was singularly crafted for us in direct mind. But a lot of things that he was involved in that actually helped other people. And I know he was a part of about everybody. So I just wanted to bring that up because I still feel to this right now, not just John Lewis, and peace to him, may he rest in peace. I personally have a problem with the black politician today. These old Negroes that we got up in there like Clyburn, who said who have been, I think, holding back the vision that we need to really have. Just my opinion. But let me go on to something else.
You know what, man? And I don't mean to belabor this point, but they're in the system.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're in the system, you have to operate the way that the system operates, or you'll be ejected from the system.
That's true.
And so, and that's why I tell black people, like, we can't rely on politics. If you want to play that game, that's fine. Do you? Please don't do me no harm. But do you? But at the end of the day, it's still my brother, it's still my sister, it's still my ancestor.
Right.
But they're playing the game that I wish to not play.
Okay.
And so, I pray for their safety. I'll pray for their peace of mind, but I'm not looking to them for anything because I know what white supremacy has done to our people. And I'm very sympathetic to that. And I know that it's a lot of brothers out here lost. They got a master's, they got a PhD, and they are lost, brother.
Right.
Like they don't know nothing that's going on. All they know is survival. And I think the main thing, our downfall is when we continue to put so much emphasis on politics. That's the white man's game. That's their game. That's not our game. We can play that game if you want to, but it's not your game. And so, I wouldn't encourage anybody, I would say vote locally and all that, but I wouldn't encourage you to anyone to get heavily into the political game, because it's a whole bunch of confusion, there's a whole bunch of misdirection, and there's not much you can accomplish. There's so much that we can accomplish away from politics. The only politics that we need to be focusing on and being monolithic about is reparations. Other than that, everything else is a game, and a lot of people play that game, and they're heavily invested in that game.
You're right, brother, because I lived in San Francisco and I never saw a lot of the Asian. I knew people that were Chinese, Japanese. We got all different diversity, as they say, diversity in the Bay Area. And I never really saw Chinese people really bust their ass and get all emotional over politicians, because the one thing that they can equalize is that they were economically independent. They got their own banks, their own businesses, their own schools. So really the politicians would come and grovel towards them any damn way, but they don't really. And I think when you're independently or economically, you have economic power and freedom, then you don't really sweat so much over the politicians, because you have economics is where it has to be. But we got to be honest about that. As Brother Fred Hampton said, black people need a political education. To have black power, you have to have economic power. And black people, we do need to have a political education. Some of us don't understand politics, don't understand these social sciences that we got in our society. And let me just say, not to belabor this whole thing, let me just bring this brother up right here. This is C.T. Vivian. He died the same day as John Lewis, and there was very little talked about him. Some say that he might have been the greatest preacher that ever lived, and he was a member of the civil rights movement, a prominent member, and he believed in nonviolence, for what it's worth. But yet there was very little said about him, because I think that most of what was said about John Lewis was because white people liked John Lewis, because he sort of was more of an apologetic figure for their racism. And so they rallied around him in that such, whereas C.T. Vivian, there was very little said about him. Very interesting. I find it very interesting. Now, as we get close to conclusion, let's go to the next rapid fire. Coronavirus. You know I couldn't let you get away without your thoughts on coronavirus, brother.
Man, like as far as like what do I think about the virus? Is it real or not? What's the angle we going with?
The angle, I don't like getting too much into conspiracy theory, because my attitude is, whether it's a biological weapon or it's made by bats in China or wherever it came from, the question is, what the hell are you going to do about it, however it got here? But what is your thoughts in terms of how it's affecting society? Now, they said that black people were being hit hard with coronavirus. And I read earlier that the Native Americans are getting an economic package tailored towards them as a coronavirus package. But there's no package for black people, even though they labeled us as black people have the coronavirus, they're getting it. What is your thoughts? What do you think is happening in society? Because personally, they're using politics with this coronavirus. What are your thoughts?
Man, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to tackle it because it's so new and no one knows what's really going on. Now, I had on episode 144, I had someone come on, Dr. Ryan Pettaway. He's a PhD. He works at Portland State University and Oregon Health Sciences University in the public health sector. And so the coronavirus or COVID-19, it's a real thing. It's just it's a random strain of the corona. So the coronavirus is just a name basically for a common cold. A common cold is a type of coronavirus, but COVID-19 is like a more virulent or more diabolical strain of it. And so there's like, there's multiple strains all over the world. So it's affecting people in different ways. And especially if you have pre-existing conditions, it's going to affect you even greater. I lost my father-in-law to the coronavirus.
Oh, wow.
He passed in April. But he had pre-existing conditions. He had, heart issues. He had heart surgery not too long ago. So it hit him. And when it hit him, he went in like 10 days. And so I know it's real. And I have family members that have had it. They didn't necessarily get tested, but we all know if you were extremely sick, you lost your sense of taste, you had the coronavirus, right? And so it's a real thing. And when they say it's affecting Black people at a greater rate, to me, all that means is anything that happens that's a negative thing, we are going to be impacted more because of our access to healthcare, our economic situation, and our mistrust for the medical system, and because of the inherent racism and white supremacy that is inside those that are caring for us. You understand what I'm saying? And so when we go in there, we're not going to be treated the same.
Right.
We're not going to be afforded the same type of care and consideration. And so if they have to make a decision of who needs a respirator and who doesn't, we're going to be at the bottom of that list.
Okay.
Regardless. And so that's why we're getting impacted more because of racism, because of economic the lack of economic situation that we have and access to healthcare and all that. Right.
And if we got reparations, the debt that they owe us, that would equalize a lot because we would have the money to get better healthcare, to, what have you, live in better environments, because, there's a lot of environmental racism in some of these Black communities around, especially where I live at Richmond, California, Oakland, West Oakland area, where they found a lot of chemicals in the soil, real bad stuff. Let me say peace to brother Fredo Knows Best for the super chat. Thank you for super chatting me, brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
I didn't forget that, brother.
Thank you for the super.
And let me say peace to Queen I Know I Am, Lady M Greens, Soul is in the house. The new Black media that's in the house. Fashion for Life is in the house. Laughing in the Rain is in the house. Lady M says something about someone blocking her. I don't know what it is. The only thing I could think it is that it could be something in YouTube's algorithm that I need to go into my creative studio and unclick something. Might be something that's holding comments or something. So I'm sorry to hear that that's happening. BT is in the house. Sister BT, thank you for being here again. Jordan Austin's in the house. Underrated Darkness. Everybody that's in the chat room that's come through, that's been supporting the channel. Tiffany Jackson's in the house. I thank you all. Make sure that you do a very important thing, as I've been saying before, and that's make sure you share this in your social media. We're almost getting to the conclusion of this particular segment, this video today. I want to say today I've been talking to a great brother here from Sox And Sandals podcast. Brother Williams, he has a fantastic podcast. It's on Spotify, SoundCloud, everything. He's got a YouTube channel as well. So make sure that you check out his YouTube channel. It goes by the same name, Sox And Sandals podcast, and subscribe. The brother is dynamic. Now, moving into the next segment of the discussion here, because we're getting close to conclusion, moving on down in my board here. Briefly, we got Black Lives Matter. And I did give my little soapbox about that. And we have to keep in mind that George Soros, there he is with his funny looking self. George Soros, we know, is a liberal. He's worth millions of dollars, and he has a history of financing these types of movements as a way of doing what? Social engineering. To me, this is how I'm indifferent right now, brother, because I have a lot of respect for the people that are actually out there putting in the work on the ground. Okay. So I'm not going to do anything to demean what they're doing, but I have a problem with the organizational structure, or let me say philosophy, of Black Lives Matter. When you can go to their website, their original website had a button for family. Guess how many members were on there? 3. Not 2, with a man, woman, and child. So you click that, and everything in their language, and even now, is about intersectionality, transsexuality, all this other stuff. And don't get me wrong, I don't care. People can sleep who they want to sleep with, lay in the bed with who they want to lay with. I'm only concerned about who I'm laying in the bed with. They can do what they want to do. As a heterosexual man, I do what I want to do. I'm not arguing that sexuality. But when Black Lives Matter came on board, as I said before, I thought it was about black family. Let me put this up here, brother. I thought it was about, wholesome black family and shit like that, like you with your family, right? I thought it was about black family, black empowerment, about us controlling the economics of our own community and holding these politicians accountable, right? And then when you go deep into their website, you find out that Black Lives Matter looks like it's just an offshoot of the Democratic Party. They got this whole thing about what's this thing called Blue or something, where they're generating money. Yeah, if you go on Black Lives Matter's website and you go deeper into it, they are attached to something called Blue Light or Blue something. It's basically a what do you call that when they campaign for money and support for a particular political party, like a PAC or whatever it is, right? Something like that. Right?
Okay. Yep.
It's attached to their website. If you go in there and start pushing buttons, you're going to be like, oh, I see where this is really going. And then you start seeing all this money that they're getting, right? And how Black Lives Matter is becoming this marketed system. And then you have the women who came up with this whole thing, who, by the way, they're lesbian, so they're going to push their agenda, of course. And I say to myself, wow, they became what they became off the backs of black men. But then on their website, there's little talk about black men specifically. They give you a little touch about Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, just a little taste of that. But after that, everything is about this rainbow bright type of ideology. And then you have other groups that are attaching themselves to it, right? Trans matter, all these different things matter now, right? Like I said, black fathers matter, damn it. And black fathers do matter, damn it. I'm gonna put it up there again.
There we go.
I said a mouthful as we get close to conclusion. What are your thoughts about Black Lives Matter?
Yeah. I've had multiple episodes on this and kind of debating those things. And when you get into their core statements of who they are and what they're trying to represent, and they're bent on destroying cisgender privilege, and they're bent on destroying the nuclear family model, all of those things, and elevating trans people and their leadership in the black community. I'm all for elevating our people, period. But when your group is about destroying like certain things that aren't necessarily it's just not necessary when it comes to the system of white supremacy, I gotta discard that, and I gotta just like, all right, I'm moving on to the next. And so yeah, they are funded by George Soros. It's just a name, and it's something that's recognizable, but they're not really doing anything, and just like you said, they pop up when someone is murdered, and you hear about them then. But then when there's no police brutality going on, you don't hear or see anything constructive coming from that group. And so I'm not a part of that group, right. But I'm not against the group. But at the end of the day, we as black people, we gotta stop relying on these nonprofit organizations and so-called groups and spokespersons to liberate us.
Right.
Whatever your conviction is, man, just do it, and stop waiting and sitting back and watching and hoping and praying that somebody's going to. You got to start working. And so one thing I can say about them is they're working, and they're doing something.
Tell the truth.
And they're getting money. And so whoever it is out there that feels like that they're doing the wrong thing, then you and we have to do the right thing. And you know, that group, they're doing what they do. They're connected to who they're connected with. So we already know what's going to come out of that. When it comes to constructive change, little to no constructive change is going to come from that group. All right, chalk that up. That's a handful of people that's doing some stuff. So let's find who's really doing something, and then let's start working with them. But you know, I wish they would be doing more constructive things for the Black community. I wish it wasn't so anti-cisgender and you know, it's just like, all right, man, that means they're anti-me. Like I can't really rock with them, and I can't be my whole self because I am who I am and I identify with who, you know. So it's just, you know, it's like one of those things where hurt people. You know, it seems like they feel like they've been marginalized and disenfranchised by their own group. And so they're trying to create their group that celebrates their lifestyle and upholds them. And so it is what it is for them. But, you know, I don't attach myself to that.
Well, let me just say this in short. We have seen this before, brother. If you, anytime, look, I know that there's people out there on the ground that I have respect for doing the work on the ground. Okay. And I know there are people out there who are genuinely want things to change. Okay. Of whatever race they may be. But I have to be honest with everybody right now. If you look at history, whenever Black people have aligned themselves with other groups, then what happens is our agenda gets infiltrated and changed into something else that we don't recognize anymore. And then once those other groups get what they want out of our movement, then they do what? They get the bag, they get the rights that they want, and they leave us with nothing. Remember, during the civil rights movement, a lot of people will say, well, you know, Jewish people were out there marching with us. Yeah, but Jewish people once they got what they needed from us, you don't see them hollering for us that much. So they were a part of it. They were involved in the movement, got whatever they had to get out of it. And Black people are still left here in the 21st century with an empty bag. And this is another thing I'm going to say to you, young brother. You may disagree with me or agree with me. I believe, and this is no shade to other ethnic groups, but I know from experience growing up in an international city like San Francisco, that every ethnic group always puts their ethnic group first in terms of their culture, their codes, their ideologies, their religion. We've got to get out of this ideology or this thought process called people of color. And I'll tell you why. When you use the term people of color, and we know the history of people of color, they called us nigga. Then they called us colored. Even though there's a little saying that says the white man calls me colored, but yet when the white man gets angry, he turns red. When the white man is dead, he turns green. And then they got the nerve to call us colored when they turn more colors than we do. Now, we got to get away from saying that, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when you say people of color, and we see Black politicians do it and all these talking black heads on network TV. When you say people of color and you acquaint Black people in that and other people, you're putting other people in our plight. So if I'm a Black man and you got an Asian man, you got a man of Middle Eastern ancestry, Samoan man, Latino man, they may not be going through the same thing that I'm going through. Because yes, Latinos or Hispanics are impacted by police too. But the last time I checked, we're the main ones that's targeted. You know why I know this? Very simple. I deal with guys in the system and I see the records and I see who's getting arrested for what and who's getting certain treatment and not getting certain treatment. Okay. On a high level in California, we incarcerate more people than any damn state in the union. Now, when you do that, you are now taking a dreadneck and bringing everybody in there who's not getting the treatment that you're getting. So when it comes to reparations, now what you've done is you open the door to say, oh, okay, people of color. That means that everybody else, come on and join in. Now check this out. I went to the store yesterday. There was a Native American cat standing outside the store saying, you know what he was doing? Was he petitioning for people of color for black people, Latino people? No, I talked to him. You know what he was petitioning for? He said Native American rights in my community. Please sign a petition for Native American rights. He didn't say for people of color rights, for Asian people, black people. What did he do? He worried about his people. Why can't we as black people get that mindset? It does not mean that we can't be friends with other people, but we got business that's our damn business. You said yourself that Native Americans, they cut their trees and deals. That was that group. What about our group? Because when I talked to that Native American brother and I talked to him, guess what? He never once said to me, well, you know, we as black folks and Native American folks got to stick together. No, he said, sir, sign a petition for black Native American rights.
Yeah, man. I mean, that it's as they
Tell
should.
the truth.
As they should, you know.
As they should.
You know, and as we should. And so we have to get out of this political game of using the right terms that white people deem, you know, acceptable for them. Like I said, it's all politics. It's all PC, you know, politically correct. And so the politically correct term, like you said, at one point in time, it was nigger, and then it was Negro, colored, black, African American. They keep remixing it, and we keep going for it. Now it's people of color. Now it's BIPOC, black indigenous people of color. It's all these different terms that the white supremacists make up and we adopt because we want a certain level of comfort within the system of white supremacy. And so, like you said, the Asians, whether it's in California, you know, in Portland, there's a lot of Vietnamese up here. They're not up here, you know, talking about all of this, you know, POC and all of that, like all these coalitions that, you know, that white people want to set us up with to basically dilute our cause and dilute our claim for reparations or whatever we need for us. You know, there's a real visceral fear that they have of us having our own, you know, and that's why when I spoke to Jane and you know, she would scoff at the fact that we would have our own land and have a reservation, because she knows that, and they know that if we have something, we're going to turn it into the greatest thing that you've ever seen. And they know that whatever we're going to do, like, we're going to exceed their imagination, and we're going to exceed whatever they thought that, you know, whatever they thought that we could do with whatever they give us. And so that's why they continually try to thwart our effort and try to infiltrate everything that we do and water it down with other groups. And then unfortunately, because we are such a benevolent people, because we're such a loving people, we naturally want everybody to be okay and be good. And we don't mind taking care of the natives or reaching out and helping the Latinos. We are the mothers and fathers of all these people. You understand? Like, we are the original man. And so we are basically the gods of this earth walking around, and we want to make sure all of our children is good. That's how that's our nature, bro. We have a godly nature that we want to make sure that everyone up under us is doing okay.
Right.
We're the original man. We brought y'all here. And so we want to make sure y'all good, but we don't understand that in the system that we're in, the violent, divisive, rugged individual system that we're in, unfortunately, we're going to have to play that game, not become that, but play that. All right, we're going to have to rugged individual ourselves some damn freedom. We're going to have to rugged individual our group some reparations. And then once we get our reparations, and once we get our land, and once we get our cash payments, then we can actually start, you know, maybe working in some other groups, and then we can have an ally once we have a position, like a solid position to have an ally. But at this point, we don't have the luxury of creating allies. We need to focus on creating a solid base of our group and getting what we need from the government.
Right.
Period.
Before we get ready to end, let me say peace to brother the Ghost. Ghost, what I'll do, brother, if you are available for next Saturday in the morning or whenever you are available, let me know. I'll send another email. I don't know why you're not getting my email, so that I can get you on. I still need to get you on and interview you. So I'm going to try it again, try to reach out so that we can set a date to get you on board before you leave America, the Matrix, to the motherland. brother. And thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you for the super chat.
And I thank Alan. Alan gave me a super chat not too long ago, Alan. So thank you for that super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
And let me say peace to Just Jazzy, who came into the chat room. And let me say peace to you on the screen there. You've come to the chat. You come to my streams quite a bit. So welcome here. He says, I use brothers and sisters, cousins to if you want, because I realize how we're all one family, but you've got to have your own. Yeah, I mean, you can say that we're the human family, to all that kind of stuff. And I know Jane Elliott, she talks about that. Oh, we're one human race. No. Yeah, we're humans, but all of us as humans have different cultures, different experiences that play out. Just like black people, we may suffer from what's that condition? What's that condition that we get?
PTSD.
PSTD. Sickle cell. Certain groups get it. Okay. Yeah, certain groups get impacted by certain things medically. So we're all human, but we don't all have the same circumstance, the same experiences, and same outlook, world outlook, and paradigm that we grow up in. So I gotta say that. Now, let me move on. And everybody who's I think Jackie super chatted me again. Thank you again, Jackie. Oh, my man. My main man himself. Brother Sanchez. I got to hook you up with Brother Sanchez. That brother is deep. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, matter of fact, you got to watch the show that I did with him. We talked about this brother gets into the sciences, the black dark matter, the consciousness, all that type of science type of stuff, man. He's like a teacher. Brother Sanchez, thank you for coming over. Give you some love.
Thank you for the super chat.
Brother Sanchez.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I gotta hook you up with Brother Sanchez. He gets into the heavy stuff, man. The heavy dark matter type talk. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this brother is he's off the hook with his channel. I appreciate all the support today. Now, as we get to conclusion, I got 3 more thumbnails. This one, you're gonna love it. Now, if white people can have a militia, right? This is in Michigan, where they went to the state house. They harassed the governor. They went into the assembly with their guns, making a lot of people scared, threatening to harm people, and they were screaming in the faces of the police. Guess what? Not a finger was put on them. They weren't touched. They weren't harassed, or were they arrested? Now, if they can have a militia, what's wrong with black folks having our own ammunition and our ability to have arms in America? What are your thoughts?
Info, man, that's a rhetorical question, brother.
I know it is. I know.
You know what it is, man. You know what it is. White supremacy, man. They gonna take care of their family. That's their cousins. It's a family dispute with them. It's a family dispute. You know. Hey, it's like you seen the movie Trick Baby? You seen the scene where they was having dinner? You know, and you got the conservatives and the liberals, and the conservatives is like, man, you too nice to the blacks. You give them too much freedom. You give them too much hope. And the liberals is like, man, you too hard on the blacks. You know, you guys are just gonna force them, you know, to rise up on them and rise up on us and act on us in a hostile manner. And so it's just two sides of the coin, man. But it's all team white supremacy. They're on code and they know what it is. So they know that their militia isn't up there to overthrow the government. It's just their cousins are angry because, you know, somebody came to their farm and shot their cows, and they want justice for their cows being shot. But they don't want to go down to their cousin's house and tear it down. It's like, hey, man, we need restitution for the cows that we lost, bro. Like y'all ain't taking care of us, man. Y'all not paving our roads. Help us out. And so they just out there just having a cordial conversation, and they just happen to have guns in their hands. Now, when they see when they see black people, when they see us when they see the slaves come up, because that's how they see us, as slaves. They see us as less than. They see us as others. So when the others come up that are not considered citizens, that are not considered people, they see us with guns in our hands. They see warfare. You know, back in the 1400s, when the Pope saw anybody that was a non-Christian, they were an infidel. you know, and all infidels were subject to becoming chattel slaves, you know. So it's like they see us as infidels, like, oh, these are outsiders trying to come up and cause a stir, because they don't just want us to do something and go away.
Yes.
They want more. they
Right.
want freedom. Like, those are our workers that want to be bosses. No, you work for me.
Right.
I'm the boss and you're the worker, and you do what I say. So when they see workers coming up to the boss, then they're going to try to make sure that we're subjugated and all of that. So when the white militia go up there, it's just a conversation, and they just happen to have guns in their hands. When we come up there, that's war to them. That's not a conversation that they want to have. You know what I mean? So
right. Let me just say this: we got Be the Difference clothing. I need everybody to definitely check out her channel. Give this sister some love. She's got great things. I just watched her. I came into her show late, but just a week ago, she interviewed about four black writers, authors. I mean, dynamic people, just dynamic brothers and sisters. Fantastic work that she's doing over there. So Be the Difference. I love you, sister. I will be getting you on the show eventually. I'll be getting folks on the show. I'm booking people up here and there, but she has a dynamic channel. Check her out. And the Ghost left a message. Let me see what he's talking about. I love this brother here. This is. Let me tell you something, Brother Williams. The Ghost is actually an older brother, a more older statesman. He's lived some life. I respect him. Brother speaks with a lot of wisdom. And I just want to say peace to this brother again. I got a lot of respect for brother for the Ghost. Very wise brother. Let me see who else is in the chat here. Let me see here. Information Man Show. Maybe these people won't. Maybe these people were cops. Yeah. Yeah, brother. And Prophet of Thought is in the house. Prophet of Thought is in the house. Thank you for being here. Check out the Prophet of Thought series. He goes live on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, and he has debates on his program. The brother is dynamic. Queen, I know y'all is in the chat room. Now, let's move on. This is the last part. You have children. You are a family man. Am I wrong or right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Then this one should hit home for you that I'm about to put on the screen right here in a moment. You see, the kids are in school, brother. They're spacing out because why? Social distancing, right? Mm-hmm. And our children are trying to grow up. They're trying to have fun. They're trying to learn and explore life. This has got to be a hell of a thing for kids to have to deal with, let alone adults. Now, with that said, Donald Trump's administration want us to have kids go back to school, open up the schools. They got us in a catch-22 because they know people use school as a partial daycare for their kids. And people got to get back to work. We understand that. You have a beautiful family. Mm-hmm. How are you dealing with this and your wife, your children, psychologically as a father? Because black fathers do matter. Fathers do matter. How are you dealing with this? What is your thoughts?
So we were already in the mode of when it comes to my son, he's 11 years old. He just finished 5th grade. And we had already determined last year that I was going to homeschool him for middle school. So with this pandemic, like that didn't change any of our plans. It's just, all right, we were already going to do that. So my daughter, however, she's been going to daycare and she's going into kindergarten. And so the only reason why we're putting her in a school is because of the school that my son just went to. It's a charter school called Kairos PDX here based in Portland. It was started by 3 black women. And because we know how solid they are, and we know that their school is explicitly anti-white supremacy. Like they say that they make sure that every parent knows that there is no white supremacy tolerated and there will not be any white supremacy teach. There's not any history that from a white supremacist lens that'll be taught. It's all culturally specific education, and the school was set up. It's a charter school, not a private school, but it's set up specifically for black children, right? And so we sent my son there, and we were planning on sending our daughter there, and she's going to be going there, but it's going to be virtual for the most part. But it's tough because as we know, our kids are highly social. beings. And so it's tough to know that they're not going to be able to have that connection, especially my daughter as a kindergartner. We are fortunate to have a lot of family in the area. I got my nieces and nephews here right now. And so we're going to be able to provide that structure and provide that level of socialization for our kids. But, you know, as far as the school part, you know, both me and my wife, well, I'm an entrepreneur and my wife, she can work from home remotely. And so it's been a tough transition, but we're going to be okay because we're both going to be in the home and we're both going to be able to do what we need to do. But I can only imagine for those that have to physically go to work and if you can't work remotely, how tough that's going to be, you know, when your kids are going to be doing remote school and all that, the virtual school. But for us, we've been able to cope and we've already had plans in place to be able to deal with a homeschooling type of atmosphere.
Okay. Let me tell you my situation. I was married for 15 years. I've been divorced for maybe going on 13. I don't have any drama. Me and my ex-wife, we are dual parents of my daughter. My daughter's 12 years old. I'm one of those brothers, you know, on certain weekends, I get my daughter and I take work with her, and I live maybe 10-minute drive away from my daughter. So I'm in the same community. I can get to her just like that. Mm-hmm. You know, I work, I'm completely involved in my daughter's life since day one she was born because, you know, I was married. Mm-hmm. And we work together. I'm blessed, brother. My ex, she can work remotely. Because of the kind of work that I do, I'm an essential worker. So I'm able to still go into work and draw income. So I'm blessed that way, but not other people are. And that's why I feel really bad for the people out there who are losing their benefits. I know Trump is trying to give this executive order for $400. He gave the damn rich a 1% a permanent tax cut, but we don't get one. Mm-hmm. And I'm concerned about a lot of different things. Yeah. I am concerned as well about my daughter going back into the classroom environment. Prior to them ending in the area that I live in, we are doing virtual education. But we do know that virtual education, this is why they have us by the pinky toe, the pinky toe. We know that virtual education is not the best way for our kids to learn. That's a problem. But do we want to risk our kids dying? There was a YMCA summer camp. I think there was about 300 students, maybe 600 or 300. They tried to spread it out. And one of the camp counselors had the coronavirus and it spread amongst the kids like wildfire. And about 200 of the kids came down with it. So then you have schools in this country. How many janitors do you need to hire? You got to hire janitors to clean up those rooms every time they go in and out. How are you going to do that? Mm-hmm. Then you got the faculty. Where's the testing? The damn president, the so-called president, Donald Trump, he's got a coronavirus test that gives him results right then and there. Why can't he mandate that for the whole country? Mm-hmm. Now, let me throw something else at you, and everybody knows this. Some people know this that follow me. Do you know that Donald Trump signed the CARES Act on 1/24/2019, both the Democrats and the Republican? So if they didn't know that this was coming down the pipeline, how did they have the CARES Act already written a whole year in advance on 1/24/2019? You can look it up yourself. This doesn't come from a conspiracy page, brother. This comes right off of a government site. When they signed the bill, they signed it into law, the CARES Act, which was meant to enrich the rich, give the banks the money first. The Federal Reserve, which is not federal, gave $1 trillion to banks every day. They give you $1,200 or $2,400. They give us peanuts and popcorn. Mm-hmm. And then they say, well, we can't give these people $600 because they're not going to want to go back to work. That's our damn money that came out of our checks.
Info man, we dealing with a mafia government.
Right.
You know, we dealing with the mob. So, I mean, that's what the mob does. You know, they
led by that man right there.
Yeah, they take care of our own. That's why I'm telling people, man, you can't put your trust and hope and faith in the government. I mean, that's the mob, and they taking care of their family, you know. So
right.
as they should. So
right. Let's break down the breakdown of what the word government means. It means what? The word government means to control. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just the word itself.
And part of that control is education, you know.
Right.
Tell the truth.
I honestly think that this is a blessing in disguise as far as kids not having to go into the schools because, you know, Jane, bringing it back to Jane Elliott, Jane was one of the last honest people. Yeah, she's white, and yeah, she's a highly suspected white supremacist. But she's honest. There's a lot of dishonest people that are so disconnected from who they are and and what they think. You know, it's a lot of these Karens that are our children's school teachers.
Right.
And they're well-to-do, well-meaning, maybe good church folk, as some would say, but like they don't really know the harm that they're inflicting. Our children know it. Our children know who's for them and who's against them. Our children can tell if somebody's treating them properly, if they're not. And so now, instead of our children being subjected to these Karens and subjected to these white supremacists day in and day out for, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, for them to just be in the comforts of their own home. Granted, they're not getting the social interaction that we would like for them to have, but that's going to come back. But man, we're cutting out that nasty, vile, racist energy that they're being subjected to in the classroom every day. Somebody talking down to them and not believing in them. So now we have an opportunity, even though we may not be able to work the way that we used to, we have an opportunity to pour into our kids and give them proper information and give them the proper care that they deserve while they're getting that information. And we can show them, look, I believe in you, and we're going to work through this together. And I'm going to properly educate you. I'm not going to indoctrinate you like what they're doing. I'm going to educate you. And that's the whole reason why, we wanted to do the homeschooling thing, because I realized, at the end of the year last year, I'm thinking about how long kids are in school and how much they don't actually learn, like how much time is actually spent on curriculum. And my son would complain about it all the time. He was like, Daddy, kids are always, acting up, and I can't learn, and I can't do this activity, and we can't do it because my teacher is always trying to correct somebody else's behavior. And he started being disinterested in school because it just turned into the teacher babysitting 3, 4, 5 kids that were disruptive. And my son was like, I can't learn. I can't do anything. And my son really is, he's really curious, and he really wants to learn certain things, and he really wants to do a lot of things, but he can't do it because school is so distracting. And so now I can all right, we can actually focus maybe 3.5, 4 hours a day on learning, and then you can spend the rest of the day doing what you want to do. Right. Actually experimenting and actually learning by experience, not just learning by sitting somewhere and having somebody read to you in a book and you regurgitating that information. You don't learn just by sitting and absorbing. You have to absorb information, and then you have to do it. If you don't do it, then it's not going to be cemented in your mind. It's not going to be in your subconscious, because you're going to forget most of what you read and most of what somebody tells you. But if you do it, you got the mind and the body working together, and that forms a solid bond and a solid memory of what you're doing. So.
Right. Let me do this. Let me shout out Marie Price. This is someone I worked with professionally. So I want to thank her for watching. She's over in Facebook, because we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Periscope, as well as YouTube, all 3 areas live today. So Marie Price, I know you're out there on Facebook. Thank you for watching the program. You said the first time you caught me actually live, we worked together. She's the one who actually trained me in terms of getting me prepared to work in the environment that I work in now. So thank you, because you were there for me through the rough times of adjusting to the environment that I work in, and some of the things that I had to get comfortable with and used to in the environment that I work in. So Marie, thank you. I hope you are doing well wherever you are at this moment. Thank you for tuning in on the Facebook live version on my Information Man show page on Facebook. Now, let me give some respect where respect is due. Brother Ghost, the wise one, says, family, if you get that macaroni, you need to have you some temperate. Peace to you, brother. Let me give you some love here.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat, brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
Okay. Now, this is the part of the show that unfortunately we come to, which is the conclusion. but I've kept you from your family long enough, brother. I want to say thank you.
Good.
We've been on for about 2 hours, 38 minutes. Thank you for giving me of your time and your effort. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
I want you to give people, I don't like to say your last words, but give people your thoughts as we conclude. Remind people where they can find you. And I will be shouting out and promoting, as I do with many of the podcast guests that I've brought on. I will be shouting out your podcast in my networks from time to time. From time to time, brother, I will be shouting you out because I like what you're doing. I like the good work you're going. And I got to be honest with you. I love the interview that you did with the brother that designs the shoes.
Oh, Chris Dixon? Yeah, man.
Man. If you can, man, hook me up. I like to get him on and interview him.
Okay.
If possible, brother, I like to get him some more, I like to talk to him too and, pick his brain as well. But I loved your interview. I listened to it on your podcast and I also caught it on your YouTube version as well. But I listened to it on the traditional podcast because it's always good just to listen. Sometimes just listening is better to hear everything. So give us your thoughts as we conclude, brother. Yeah,
man. First of all, Info Man, I appreciate you for reaching out and bringing me on the show. That means a lot to me. When I listen back to your broadcast, when you were covering the show, man, it highlighted a lot of things for me that I missed, because a lot of times when I'm in the conversation, there's so much going on in my mind.
Right.
I have so many questions lined up, and I'm trying to find the perfect opportunity to interject the perfect question. And then after I edit it and put it out, I really don't listen to it. And so, when you covered it and you broke it down, I was like, wow, man, you highlighted some things. So I really appreciate you for doing what you have done and helping illuminate that conversation for me. Just able to sit back and watch someone else kind of break it down. So I appreciate that. And my final words for us as a people is that kind of to the whole vibe of this conversation, man, whatever it is that you have a conviction about, whatever it is that you believe in, I want you to go full force on that and do not stop. One of the things that have held us back as a people is that we sit and we watch and we wait for this leader. We're looking at somebody, some type of Messiah, whether it's white or black, and we want somebody to save us. And we look at them and we criticize them and we say what they should have did and what they could have done while we're sitting on our ass and we're not doing a goddamn thing. I don't mean to use that language of somebody's religious, whatever. I'm just saying we don't do nothing about it. We just sit back and we watch and we criticize. We need to get up, whatever you're for. A lot of people know what we're against, but a lot of people don't know what we're for. And unfortunately, we get to the point where we ourselves don't even know what we want. We just know what we don't like and we know what we're against. But what do you really want? And then once you identify what you want, what are you doing every day to constructively achieve that goal? If you're not doing nothing, don't criticize the man to the right. Don't criticize the man to the left. You got to start looking inward and say, yo, I need to start doing something. I have to realize that, yo, I don't have enough discipline. I have to realize, yo, I'm not saving my money. I'm not investing my money. I'm not even reading books. I'm not taking the time to build up myself. I'm not investing in my family. I'm not investing in my immediate infrastructure. We have so much knowledge within us because of our melanin, because of our ancestors. We have so much natural spirit in that we can spread good vibes if we just smile at somebody. We just start dancing. There's so much goodness, so much greatness within us, but we focus on all the things that are not going our way. And so I want to encourage everybody, man, whatever it is that you're for, whatever it is, whatever talent that you have, man, grow it, work on it every day. Set that foundation for yourself so you put yourself in a position to not have to look to the government, to not have to look to politicians, to not have to look at nonprofit leaders to create a better situation for you. Yes, fight for reparations. Yes, get your education, but also solve problems for your people and solve problems in your immediate circle. And you'll be surprised how many people you inspire to do greater things. And you'll be surprised the people that you attract and the type of help that you get that you don't even ask for. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
This podcast and everything that's come into my life has changed just for stopping to be myself. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't seeking. There's a lot of people that I talk to. I don't even seek those people. Jane Elliott, the only reason why I talked to Jane Elliott is because I had William Johnson on the show a couple years ago, and his organization is working with her. And he thought, you know what? He said, Brother Emmanuel, I think you would be a great person to talk to her. I like the way that you interview. Just tell her that you know me, because our organization is working with her, and I think she would be receptive. And that just fell into my lap. Chris Dixon, I wasn't seeking that conversation, but just because of the type of platform that I have, and I'm dedicated to having constructive conversations, you know what I mean? I have people that see what I do, and they're like, yo, man, I want you. This is because I was in conjunction with Portland Sneaker Week, and the person that was running marketing at Portland Sneaker Week, they was like, bro, I want you to talk to him because I like the way that you interview, and I think you could bring some good information out of him. So a lot of stuff that's happening in my life is not because I sought it. I just seek the truth, and I just seek to make a difference. And I know what I believe in, and I want to stimulate other people to work hard and do what they do. Whatever you believe in, yo, do it, man. Make it happen. And so that's my final words, bro. My last 2 cents there, bro.
All right, bro. Don't say your final words. Just say that's your words, because we want you to, whatever you say out of your mouth, it goes into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So we don't want it to be your final words. We want it to be your word of the day.
But if it is my last words, man, that's how I want to go out. One question that I ask a lot of people, pretty much every guest, is like, what words do you want to be communicated at your eulogy? And I ask people that question because what do you want people to say when you go? What do you want to be known for? And then when you think about what you want to be known for, then it's like, all right, am I doing all those things that I want people to say about me when I pass? You know what I mean? Right. And so it's like, if I think about the end, then I know I can start working right now to make sure that end comes true. So, not my final words, on this earth, but if it was, I'm going out with a bang. You know what I'm talking about?
All right, brother. Well, this is what we do, brother. We'll have to do this again. I'll be following your I've already followed you on Spotify. I'll be following you on the YouTube as well. Any tips that you need, brother, you can. I'll email you my number. We can keep in exchange. Anything I can do to assist in anything that you're doing, or any projects, or support in any kind of way. If you got any kind of projects coming up that I can promote on the channel, or even on my own, because I do traditional podcasting as well. I've got no problem doing that, brother. I'm about anything that's any black person or any person that's positive. I want to promote what they're doing, because we already got enough negative, narratives about us.
Yeah.
And we need, and specifically as black men, because we're black men, we need to take more control over the narrative of who we are as black men, our women, our families. That's very important. Very.
Yes, sir.
So with that said, brother, thank you. I'm going to sign off and shout everybody out that's in the chat. We're going to do this again. We're going to get a second version of this and pick your brain about some other issues that come up down the line.
Let's go.
Thank you, brother.
I'm with it. And thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, and be safe with that beautiful family of yours. Please, this coronavirus, however it got here, it ain't no joke. I see it where I'm at, man. It ain't no joke. It's no joke. So thank you
Peace
for being
and
here.
to you, bro. No doubt.
Peace and blessings to you too. All right, everybody. Thank you. So everybody, that was the great Sox and Sandals podcast. I told you all that I was bringing that brother on. I didn't know it was going to be dynamic as it was. This might be one of the best interviews I've had in a long time so far, because there's going to be more that are going to come down the line. One might be better than, look, none of them are better than one another. All of these interviews that I've had and I've enjoyed to share with you all, and to have you as the audience and enjoying them and sharing and exchanging words in the chat room has been fantastic. Let me say to everybody out there, you did not fail me today. We had a great crowd of people who came in. I know people are coming in and out because it's a long day. Nobody wants to be in a 3-hour stream. But for those of you that came in, left, and came back in, I appreciate you. Marlo's Music Channel, BT, Magical, Back to the Basics, Victorious is in the house. Thank you for being here. Roshi Turpin. Thank you for being here. I'm bad with these names. Why don't y'all make some easier names? We got Tisha that's in the house right here. Let me put the names on the thing. Tisha, let me see right here. We got Roshi Temper in the house. Thank you for being here. BT, thank you for being here. She says absolutely. Victorious, thank you for being here. I like that name, by the way, too. Brother Marlowe's music channel. Make sure you go and subscribe to his channel, folks. Now I'm not playing with y'all. Everybody that's in the chat room, you should have some paper. If you got paper and pencil, okay, you should take their names down and write them down on paper, and then go back to their channels in the search engine of YouTube and find their channels and subscribe, because we got great people here today. I'm asking you, and I'm saying, go ahead and do it. Same thing with Back to the Basics. Give her some support on her channel. And let me scroll on up here to, let's see, Laughter in the Rain. She does not validate our truth because she admits the truth. Very powerful what you said, Laughter in the Rain. And then once again, I talked about this lovely lady here. This is Sister Be the Difference Clothing. She is, look, I've had a chance to watch your channel, even when you didn't know I was watching. You're dynamic, you're elegant, well-spoken, very positive sister. And I got to say, I'm blown away by the show that you did a week ago with all those beautiful black sisters and brothers who were authors. Fantastic. Matter of fact, I made contact with one of them, and I'm going to bring her on the show for an interview. I think what you're doing over there is fantastic. I think that people who do this type of content, we don't always get the attention. And I'm not bragging here, but I don't think we get the attention that we should get, because we're not over here doing content that's ratchet, where we're beefing with people, arguing with people. We're over here providing content that is powerful, that makes you think, that educates you, so on and so forth. But I just think that we're doing something very special, and we're going to keep this thing going. Tisha, thank you again. We got the beautiful Fashion is Fashion for Life. She enjoyed listening to Brother Williams. I enjoyed the brother today. Who else can I put on the screen here? Let me see here. Thank you for coming over. Thank you for coming over and supporting the show. We got Sosa in the house. Thank you for coming over, brother. It's good to always see you. We got Lady M. She says, wonderful show. Thank you. And we got the incredible wise man himself. He says, information man, macro viral. Yes. Powerful, brother. So maybe we need to get you on as soon as possible so you can share with us the secret of how you're fighting this virus. And got it. I'm gonna send another email, and then we'll set it up at a time that works for you. The good thing is that we're both in the West Coast, so that actually is in our favor as far as time. Let's see. We got Just Jazz. Thank you for coming over, Just Jazz. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. And by the way, for any of you that are in the chat room who have not subscribed to the second channel, that would be the, let me see, do I have the proper, that would be the podcast channel. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast channel, The Information Man Speaks Podcast. You can find that channel in the description. You can find that channel in my video page. Scroll down and click, hit the bell of notification and subscribe. And I'm also can be heard on all these podcasting platforms.
The Information Man podcast can be heard on 9 major platforms. On the second YouTube channel as well, Information Man Speaks Podcast. Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Castbox, SoundCloud, and finally, Spreaker.
Reaction is
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
So once again, thank you for being here. This has been really, I really enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed everyone who came over. I just enjoyed everybody being over here. Oh, we got R and Y who's just come in. I think you might have missed most of the program today, sister, but you can always catch the repeat of the program, R and Y. I thank you for being here again. And let me do this too, real quick. Make sure, this is very important. Make sure if you can share the video in all your social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media you're using. Definitely utilize all social media to push the word out. I'm going to also say this, be on the lookout for a video that it's going to be a audio video about Facebook. There's a reason why a lot of black content gets suppressed on Facebook based on who's doing the fact checking and what organization that they are connected to. You're going to be blown away. Some of you might have heard this because this was Maxine Waters and a few other black folks in the Congress who were jamming Mark Zuckerberg up about their practices over there, some of their shady practices on Facebook. So be on the lookout for that as well, everybody. With that said, I'm about to get on out of here. I appreciate you all. Peace, love to you. Thank you for supporting the program today. It was fantastic. You'll see me around the YouTube streets, I'm sure. Peace. Love you all.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth. Let me stop that right now and give some love to MQ's World. Beautiful MQ's World is coming in the house. RY is in the house as well. Thank you for coming through. If you missed most of my show, go back and look at the repeat. Watch as much as you can possibly watch. It was a fantastic day, fantastic interview experience for me personally. I want to say thank you to everybody who super chatted today and everybody that's been supporting the channel. Tell your family, tell your friend, tell your girlfriends, tell your guy friends, tell anybody about the program so that we can continue to grow what we're doing over here. You know, I'm doing what I got to do in my little corner of what I do on YouTube. There's fantastic YouTubers out there, but I'm doing what little bit I can contribute. We need to continue to have more voices of black people, black women and black men speaking out on various issues. We need our voices, whether our voices are small, big, large, huge. Doesn't matter how big or small your channel is. Keep speaking the truth, everybody. Thank you. Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
In the White House.
Information is power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
We will make America great again.
You need truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
That's right. Truth. This is the Information Man Show.